Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to quickly beg and plead for you to go ahead on to your podcast app of choice and give us 5-star reviews. Remember, that's number 5, maximum number of stars possible. And just because it helps us be found by other people who may be interested in a Survivor-related podcast. And that way we can grow and expand the podcast, make it to new people, and maybe even start making money off this thing. And we all know that's the most important thing. And then if you leave any comments or funny messages on your review, we'll read them on the podcast. So once again, please, pretty please, give us a Christmas miracle. 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing what past players have done. I'm one of your 3 glorious co-hosts, Ryan Stacy, your resident superfan who knows everything there is to know about Survivor, and precious little about getting enough sleep to podcast properly. I'm joined by my 2 wonderful co-hosts, Derek Kubchak.
Yep, on these Rewind series, I am the Virgil. I haven't seen any of these old seasons. Now, because I am a Survivor, I think, not super fan, but in my own right, I'm very involved in the Survivor community. I know things. But how we get from A to B, I don't know any of that. And today, I don't think we mentioned it, we are going to be exploring the pre-merge of Survivor Season 13, Cook Islands.
Survivor Race Wars.
Yeah. Tugs on collar.
Yep.
And I'm excited to let you know what I knew beforehand, obviously what I didn't know beforehand, but I will be upfront with that as soon as we get into the spoiler section of the podcast.
We also have Josh Wesley.
Hello, thanks. Maybe someday Ryan will introduce me first. Probably not.
Josh was there.
I, in all honesty, I introduced Derek before you when it's my turn because his explanation feeds directly into yours. Our roles in the podcast, it makes more sense for you to come in the 3rd spot because of just your role. That isn't any knock on your importance or relevance to the podcast whatsoever.
Sure.
In all honesty, it's just, it makes the most sense from just a flow chart perspective, if you will.
I think we should rename Josh Nick because he's there.
Oh, damn.
I'm the lesser host. It's fine. I guess my role here is I watched this season. I watched this season about 3.5 years ago, and I've watched almost every single other season of Survivor. All but 3. I will be finishing soon, once I feel like it. We're getting there. And basically, I'm the best person here to track how memorable the season is. Ryan is too much of a super fan to be able to do that, and Derek is a noob. So
Fair.
I am here, and I will only be watching the premiere, the merge, and the finale episodes, and giving some good input at what stands the test of time.
So the point of this podcast is we rewatch Survivor so you don't have to. We love it if you would watch every single season and become one of us. But we know that's probably not feasible. However, with quarantine stuff going on, maybe it is. But if you don't want to watch every single season and you just want to pick and choose, we're here to tell you which ones that should be. So before we get into any spoilers, guys, Survivor Cook Islands, Survivor Race Wars, Season 13. We're halfway through. We're through the pre-merge. Actually, we're more than halfway through episode-wise. Long pre-merge here. But we're done with the pre-merge. So far, is this must-watch Survivor?
Oh, man. I'm torn on this one for a couple reasons. It's such a strong dichotomy because, frankly, I think that the starting theme of this season is enough to kind of just toss it in the trash can because it's just not right. I'm not someone who heavily criticizes art, so I'm okay that it happened, but spoiler, I am young white man.
Yeah, 3 white guys talking about this season. What could go wrong?
Right. So, I mean, take everything that we say with a grain of salt and just know that everything is well intended. We're doing our best here. This theme doesn't have a place in Survivor. It doesn't stand the test of time at all. It's 2020 now, so please don't. So for that reason alone, I will fall on the side that no, probably not, just because it is really uncomfortable to try and enjoy it at times. But if you can set all that aside, there are a couple of really important game developments that come about in sort of indirect ways in the pre-merge of this season, and I'm sad that I have to disqualify him, but we'll get into those later.
I'm on the edge here, and I feel like at least part of the season needs to be a must-watch. I'm going to lean towards yes for the pre-merge here, just because there's a couple of interesting aspects of it that I think that you can take a lot of information from without giving away any spoilers here yet. Yes, it is a weird theme, but I don't think that should keep you from watching it and seeing how it unfolds. I think that we can see it and learn that we should never do it again, but I don't think that should disqualify it from being must-watch Survivor or anything.
I'm going to come down on a hard no. This is not must-watch Survivor. I actually don't really care for the season all that much. It has a few moments, a few characters, but even setting aside the twist where, if you don't know by now, all the tribes were divided by race. Tossing that twist completely aside, I don't really enjoy watching the majority of this season. I like a couple of the characters, but most of this cast is so boring. I think I like 4 people on this season, maybe 5 out of 20. That's not great. Yeah, we get some developments in the terms of strategy, but it doesn't, like, these moments don't work. We get the idea, and they don't work. They end up not working out. So we don't actually see them in practice until later seasons. You know, I might change my mind if we actually saw some of these strategies work, but we don't so far. So with that, the fact that I don't care for most of the cast, and we have this horrible twist that was just such a bad idea, I'm going to go with a hard no. This is not must-watch Survivor. In fact, this is Survivor I don't particularly care for. I don't really like this season.
I'll add on and say I really enjoyed the last 2 or 3 episodes of this pre-merge. This is a long pre-merge, by the way. This is like 9 episodes, not counting like the closer look episode. Yep. So it's really long. It was kind of a slugfest to get through it in the 2 weeks that we usually take to do one of these, just on top of regular work and stuff. The last 2 episodes were really good. Couple of twists that I really like. A couple of things that happened that were super interesting. But you know what? Let's save that for a little later in the podcast.
I do want to say I think this is the most beautiful location Survivor goes to. I think if I could go to any location, Cook Islands would be my pick.
That is fair.
So, spoilers from here on out. We're going to be spoiling everything from the pre-merge. We're not going to spoil who wins, because Derek doesn't know, kinda.
Yes.
So, we're going to be spoiling everything that happens at the pre-merge from here on out. So, get out of here. Go on and get in 3, 2, 1. I can't believe Jonathan and Candace mutiny. We'll get into that move.
It's interesting. But yeah, before we really get into it, I just want to disclaim what I did know and what I didn't know. Entering Season 13, I knew who won. They play on Season 40. I won't give any names, but I recognize them immediately. And I did recognize, I think it was 4 people on the cast, including the winner, yes. So I have seen 4 of these survivors play, and I was aware of another one just because there was a prevalent issue surrounding said survivor and the theme of Season 40. So
we do get a lot of big names who debut in this season, so that's interesting.
It is.
So before we get too far into it, Josh and I always play a little game where we see how many of the cast members he remembers. He actually did pretty good this time. He got 5 out of 20. Let's go over the cast just for reminders.
This is a long one. Buckle up.
And reminders, this is divided by race. So let's start on the Hispanic tribe known as Aitu. We have Billy Garcia, a heavy metal musician from New York City. Cecilia Mancilla, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, a risk consultant from California. Cristina Correa, a police officer from Los Angeles. JP Calderon, a professional volleyball player from California, and Ozzy Luth, a waiter from California. Then we have the Hiki tribe, which is the African-American tribe. We have Nate Gonzalez, a shoe salesman from California, Rebecca Borman, a makeup artist from New York, Sekou Bunch, a jazz musician from Los Angeles, Stephanie Favor, a nursing student from South Carolina, and Sandra Oakley, an actress from Los Angeles. Fun fact, she is in an episode of Lost, which is my other favorite show.
Good for her.
Weirdly topical. Did she do it before or after Survivor?
After.
Weirdly appropriate somehow.
I think she's only got like 1 scene in Lost.
Weirdly appropriate.
Next we have the Puka tribe, which is the Asian American tribe. We have Becky Lee, an attorney from Washington, D.C. Brad Verada, a fashion director from California. Cowboy Bui, a nail salon manager from Virginia. Jenny Guzan B., a real estate agent from Illinois. And Yul Kwan, a management consultant from California. And finally, we have the white people tribe, Raro. Adam Gentry, a copier sales executive from San Diego. Candace Woodcock, a pre-med student from Washington, D.C. Jessica Smith, a.k.a. Flicka, we're going to call her Flicka this entire season.
Yeah, that's true.
A roller girl from California. Jonathan Penner, a writer from Los Angeles. Fun fact, he's in an episode of Arrested Development and an episode of Seinfeld. And Parvati Shallow, a boxer from California. Almost everyone on the season's from California. That's why this cast sucks.
It must be. They needed some Minnesota, North Dakota passive aggressiveness.
Yeah,
in
they have
here.
one person from Illinois. So that's our cast. Not a great cast, but it is what we got.
There's some memorable people.
There's a few
Yep.
There's a few standouts.
I will say they all seem generally like good people. Like I'd hang out with them. I would be happy to talk with them, especially talk Survivor if they're willing. But it's not a very entertaining bunch when you put them together. Like, we like some Coke and Mentos.
Yep.
Especially to grace our television screen. We don't honestly get a lot of that.
Yeah, especially coming off Shane Powers.
Yes.
Like, we don't have any... I mean, we'd never have a Shane again, but we don't have anyone who even attempts to fill that void.
I feel like after watching season 12, I was smoking something like 3 packs a day. And now I've just quit cold turkey and I'm going through withdrawals because I'm like, wow, everything is surprisingly civil given that we have Cowboy and Flicka here.
Yep.
Like, surprisingly tame.
This pre-merge is worse than when Shane quit cigarettes. We're having a more miserable time than Shane did. Facts. But that is everything we need to talk about before we jump into these episodes. Anything else you guys want to say?
Let's go.
Nope.
Episode 1. I can forgive her, but I don't have to because she screwed with my chickens. Jesus Christ. Longest Survivor title ever.
Yes.
Why? So we get the classic marooning, as you do. Jonathan Penner steals a chicken from the Puka tribe. Puka will remember that.
Yes, they will.
I can't really blame Penner too much. It's the marooning's chaotic. Whatever.
Not a great start for the white
You
people.
sees a chicken, you grabs a chicken.
Yeah. Over on I2, Billy immediately takes charge, and then immediately we realize, oh, he has no idea what he's doing. Instantly.
And I love just the realization.
Yep.
Through the eyes of Ozzy.
Yep.
It's just like, I'm just going to listen for now.
And Ozzy's like, yeah, I'm going to have to take over. On the Puka tribe, Cowboy is off to a great start by making a bunch of Asian jokes. All the people in this tribe are like not into that because they don't want these jokes that they get. They don't want people who are ignorant to take those jokes and run with them.
Yeah, and they don't want to perpetuate any stereotypes. It's honestly very forward thinking, but then again, I'm white and I was raised in small town Minnesota, and no one was aware about any of this stuff. So I was actually very refreshed to hear like Yul and Jenny and Becky say like, "No, Cowboy, stop."
Yep.
Yeah, like, I get cracking like a joke or whatever because it's a new situation that they were not ready for. They were not told about this going into it. So like, I get wanting to make a joke, and you can, but just limit it as much as possible. They've mentioned that Cowboy here is the only one that was born outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
It seemed like that was causing him to feel more okay about joking about it.
Yep. But he does know a lot of cures and remedies from the old country because Brad gets a headache, and so Cowboy does something which leaves a red mark on Brad's forehead between his eyes, but his headache's gone.
He got like, I think he called it like a wind headache.
A bad wind.
So like he was like getting the wind out of him or something. I don't know what it was. It was.
So Brad's got a great confession. He's like, well, my headache's gone, but now I have this red mark on my head.
And everyone's just commenting on it. And Yul was like, wow, that's so interesting. I'm like, that is the most diplomatic answer to like borderline physical assault. To Brad's credit, you know what? This is a really cool way to build a bond. Like, let someone try this really like odd thing that you've never heard of. Just let them try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you're less worn for the wear. That's good. So good on Brad for this. Don't know if I would have had the guts to do it. I'd have been like, no, don't worry. I'll just think away my headache.
On Hiki, Sekou steps up to be the leader, but he takes a lot of breaks. Like a lot of breaks.
He's more of the delegating kind of leader.
Yeah, I gotta relax every 5 minutes or so.
The kind of leader that you do not want on Survivor.
Yeah,
Kind of leader you don't ever really want.
In the workplace, I'd be okay with it. Lots of breaks are fine with me. As long as you get paid.
This is the type of manager I am.
Yeah. And then over on Rero, Flicka accidentally lets the chickens go. Not great.
Immediately.
It was an accident, but still not great.
That's a really solid unifying vote where, like, if there's nothing else, they might just vote you out for letting the chickens go.
Yep. So, be careful. Over on Hiki, Rebecca and Sundra make a very tight bond and form an alliance that everyone else is aware of. So it's great that you have an alliance, but that's 2 out of 5.
Yeah. Like, you can be two peas, but maybe don't be in a pod on day one.
Subtle bonds.
Subtle bonds. Immunity challenge. Puka, Aitu, and Rero all win, sending Hiki to Tribal Council, but they get to send someone to Exile Island, the super idol hidden on Exile Island once again. So Hiki's going to send... Oh, okay. I should rephrase that. Hiki does not send anyone. Nate and Sekou make the choice.
Yeah.
Yes, they deliberately step away from the mat where the girls are standing.
Yep. So the men make the choice. And they end up choosing Penner because he stole a chicken from the Puka tribe.
Which is fair.
Sure.
This is a good enough reason to just pluck someone out of a crowd.
Honestly, I love it if you include everyone on the tribe.
Yep.
Like, bring everyone off the mat because you don't know each other really. Step off the mat, take a look, huddle up, and then be like, you know what? He stole the chicken. If anything, that builds some kind of intangible bond between you and what is it?
The Asian tribe.
Puka?
Puka tribe.
So
it builds a bond between you against the white people.
That's what everyone wants.
it's just anything you can do in Survivor to extend an olive branch is a good thing. You know, for no other reason, Jonathan is going to get sent.
Yep. Not going to find the idol. But yeah, so we like the move, we just don't like how it was made.
Right.
Yep. So it comes down to basically it's Nate and Sekou versus Sandra and Rebecca, and Stephanie finds herself as the swing vote. Does she go with the guys or does she go with the girls? And eventually she's going to go with the girls, and it's going to be 3 votes for Sekou, 2 votes for Sandra. Now, I think it should have been Sandra.
Yeah, this is such a tough one. I think it can... You can say that there's a couple people at fault for different things here. I agree that you could go with Sandra, but I see no issue with the way that they went about this. They weren't getting a lot of help from Sekou. Didn't seem like he really contributed a whole lot during the challenge that would have warranted keeping him around. And if done correctly, this could have been just one unifying vote.
And I actually think this was 100% the right move. I actually think that it's not even close. And I'll talk about this in my best and worst. But so you've got Rebecca and Sandra who are in a super tight alliance, right? And I get that, maybe you want to split them up, but also like you're on day 3 or whatever. You still need to function as a tribe. Stephanie, if you vote off Sandra now, you're next. You're next because the guys have the power. So if you've got 2 people who are excluding themselves, which the guys were excluding themselves more than the women were, go with the group that matches you more physically in the early game so that at least if something else happens, you're not like one of the default next to go. So I think it was absolutely smart for Stephanie to go with the women and vote out the guy who decided that he was king of the tribe for some reason. And now they can all go forward on equal footing.
Here's why I disagree. You go with Sandra and Rebecca. You vote out Sekou. All right, next vote, you lose again. What happens? Well, Nate goes, right? But Nate is a beast. Nate's huge. What if Sandra and Rebecca decide, well, we need to win challenges? We'll keep Nate. We vote out Stephanie. Womp womp.
It's possible. I do think that you have to be able to build those social bonds. And also, when you're on a season that starts with 4 tribes, there's a tribe swap coming soon.
Sure.
And you can try and lean into the twist. Don't expect them, but lean into them. And I do think that building the social bonds with the girls is better than trying to win with Nate. If you lose 2 in a row, Nate's obviously not helping that much anyway.
But if you go the other way and you go with the guys, you vote out Sandra. Next time, who do you vote out, Rebecca or Stephanie? I think the guys would be like, well, Stephanie was loyal to us. We voted Rebecca. It's just, you're third no matter what. But I think that was the optimal way to prevent yourself from being 4th.
I can understand it both ways.
So from solely Stephanie's perspective, I think she makes the wrong move. So Sekou goes out 3 votes to 2. Josh, who do you have for best player of the episode?
We didn't really talk about him a lot, but I'm going to go with Ozzy here. Overall, there wasn't just a whole lot from anyone, just because having 4 tribes and a regular time-slotted episode.
Yep.
Again.
Can't wait for that to be over. The main thing is that he just proved himself to be so valuable to his tribe that there's no logical reason for him being a focus to vote out anytime soon.
Yeah, I agreed with Ozzy, and I had a couple reasons. So he ended up kind of taking charge on the tribe, but they very explicitly gave him a confessional where he said, I'm not going to be the leader. I'm not going to order people around. I am just going to be where I'm needed and no more. I really like to get confessionals like that in episode 1. It shows a great deal of self-awareness and a great deal of game know-how. That's how the edit kind of conveys those things. So wrap that into the fact that he performed really well in the challenges and nothing else really goes wrong. He ends up in a good spot on his tribe. Ozzy.
Yeah, definitely Ozzy for his physical abilities and kind of like his casual, incidental leadership. He doesn't take the leadership, but he has a lot of knowledge and he shares it.
Yeah.
And he lets Billy dig his own grave.
Absolutely.
So Ozzy's the best player. How about worst player?
I went with Nate here, mainly just because when you have a 2-2 split with someone right in the middle, you should be able to tell which way they're going to lean, and they're probably going to lean based on, in this case, some unifying aspect like gender. Really, what he should have done is jump ship and just voted out Sekou, leave him behind in that episode. And then one other big thing is when they stepped off the mat by themselves, now he's the only one left on the tribe that secluded himself from the rest.
I agree 100% with Nate, and for all the same reasons, the only thing I'll add is what his move could have been is Jeff brought up immediately, the two guys step off the mat and kind of leave the girls back not to make a decision. Have some self-awareness, go back to camp, collect yourself and say, hey, guys, you know what? I was wrong to do that. The optics were bad. It wasn't my intention, or maybe it was and it was subconscious. I'm sorry. I'd really like you guys to drive the vote tonight. You have mine if you want it. Perfectly good way to go about that. So, try and make a positive out of a negative, and he obviously doesn't do it.
Everything you guys said, Nate is the worst player of the episode.
Hooray.
So we're done with episode 1, and this is where we make our winner picks. Derek, who have you selected for your winner pick?
I'll just quickly talk about a couple of finalists that I have. I did pick one from each of the 4 starting tribes. So from the Roro tribe, I picked Jonathan just because he got a lot of screen time, and he did also seem a little bit like an incidental leader, definitely the wise one of the group. I do think he happens to be the oldest one there as well, but he's also talking about scheming and strategizing, so he's not going to be like that general pick or like the savage pick. Like, he's a little craftier. Mm-hmm. The Hiki tribe, I actually picked Sundra. I thought that after she survived that first vote, she's in a really good position, and also she seems to have a lot of social chops, so I love Sundra. On Puka tribe, my winner pick was Yule, just because every time he was on camera, he didn't get a lot of confessionals, but every time they did show him, he was super diplomatic, super social, super happy, super friendly, and it doesn't hurt that he is a physical beast based on build alone. And then on the I2 tribe, same as the best player of the episode, I landed on Ozzy. And because of that super good confessional where he was super self-aware, saying, I don't want to be the leader, but I'm going to do what I have to do, I actually landed on Ozzy as my winner pick.
Okay. Josh, do you remember who you picked for your winner pick when you first watched this season?
I do not. I have a feeling that it's going to be very similar to what I am going to pick, though. Just knowing myself 3-ish years ago, I wasn't brand new to the game anymore, and I'm able to pull out a couple of just some of those identifying things that could stand out. I won't go into as much detail as Derek, but just a couple of the ones that stood out to me. On Puka, Yule and Becky stood out the most. Hiki, I really liked Rebecca. She just had one better confessional for me in the first episode compared to Sundra that made her stand out a little bit more. From I2, Ozzy's the only one that's there. No one else really stood out. And Rero, I like Jonathan and Candace the most. Basically just based on confessionals alone. In the end, really a lot of what Derek said, the one good confessional and the person who looks like they are safe at least for a good chunk of this pre-merge at worst, gonna go with Ozzy. And I feel like that's likely what I would have gone with back in 2017.
So my winner pick is based off who I picked when I was a kid and when I first watched the show, and I picked Jonathan because he just seemed very smart with the way he talked about it. Talked about the game. Again, there's not a whole lot to go off of here. So back in the day, I picked Jonathan as my winner pick. Today, I would have picked Ozzy as well. But I don't get that choice. I'm stuck with Jonathan. Episode 2, Dire Strengths and Dead Weight. So Ozzy catches a ton of fish. Like, an obscene amount of fish. And this is going to be a recurring trend with Ozzy. I think if we ranked every single Survivor contestant from best to worst on how they do in water, Ozzy's number 1. Period.
Yeah, I can't even think of anyone.
Rupert's pretty good, but Ozzy's better.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough to know. I've seen Ozzy play exactly one time, so spoilers. He does return. And I guess I'll wait. But yeah, in the pre-merge, he definitely performs well in the water.
So he's catching a ton of fish, but he and Christina clash a bit, specifically on how to catch a chicken. And Ozzy's way works, and they catch the chicken, and Christina doesn't really like that. She's a little older. She doesn't like being told what to do by like a 25-year-old kid. I don't know how old Ozzy is roughly. Here's the thing. You may not like being told what to do, but Ozzy has proven that he knows what he's doing. Basically, Ozzy's backstory is he read a ton of like these survival books growing up and always wanted to live on a deserted island. And he keeps coming back on Survivor because he likes living on a deserted island. He's kind of psychotic.
Yeah, I think he openly said that he would just live there permanently just because.
Yeah. He loves this stuff. He knows what he's doing, so you gotta like back down when someone else knows what they're doing, and you don't. And Christina can't do it.
And you know what? If the rest of the tribe is bothered by that, Christina, let Ozzy dig his own grave. Like, if it's to if it's to the tribe's benefit, awesome. You guys get chicken. If it's not to the tribe's benefit, let him dig his own grave. You don't have to jump in there with him.
Yep. But everybody else loves Ozzy besides Billy.
Besides Billy.
Yul, meanwhile, also catches 2 chickens. And then he forms an alliance with Becky. And one thing to note with this Asian American tribe is Yul and Becky both have Korean heritage. They're the only ones in the tribe that do. So they have that bond because it's almost like all Asian cultures are not the same.
What?
There's a little bit more diversity than that.
It's an accidental point made by Survivor. Like, congratulations, you kind of fell ass backward into the greatest lesson we could have taken from this.
But so the two of them form an alliance. Meanwhile, Cowboy, he manages to cure Jenny's headache and leaves another red mark. But he won't stop telling Asian jokes. Dude, read the room.
Yeah, you got to take a hand. I mean, first of all, this is just a great life lesson. We're moving away from stuff like this. I'm not going to tell you what you can or can't say, but I do think that as a populace, we are moving away from anything like this being socially acceptable. So just know it.
Yeah, just don't. Just don't do it. People generally don't like it. So don't. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Flicka, they want to work hard on the shelter. The others really don't seem that into it. And Adam just kind of like blows up about it, just causes a big argument about it. He's like, why are we even doing this? And Parvati's like, well, I think it's kind of a good idea. Shut up, Adam.
You know,
Shelter's important, hot take.
Honestly, on the heels of season 12, we need to have this discussion. I don't know if we've had it yet, but we need to have it now. When you land on a tribe, figure out who your alphas and betas are, who wants to be like this influential part of the tribe but can't be, and who is an influential part of the tribe and doesn't really try to be. If you're not aware of these different dynamics on your tribe, you're never going to be able to navigate those waters.
So on I2, Billy doesn't do much work around camp and feels on the outs. Well, maybe if he did some work around camp, he wouldn't feel on the outs.
Yeah, and you know, maybe he wasn't as lazy as the edit made him. But they had a lot of footage of him not really doing anything.
Usually if the edit paints you as lazy or overly annoying, it can be overplayed a little bit, but it's usually not completely out of question.
It's probably just slightly exaggerated, but still accurate.
Here comes the supercut.
But here's the really damning evidence is it's so bad that Ozzy wants to throw the challenge to get rid of Billy.
Oof.
Whoa, episode 2?
Episode 2.
Now,
on a 5-person tribe.
We've talked in the past about my love of the good old challenge throw.
There is a time and place.
There's absolutely a time and place for it. This is not it.
This is so
not it. This is like the worst idea of a challenge throw I've ever seen.
Let's just run through the math super quickly for everybody at home. You have 5 people on a tribe. Guess what? 5 is an odd number. You can get 3 to 2. What happens now? If you're down to 4, you think that there's not going to be a fracture? There probably will be. You're putting yourself in a horrible situation.
Yep. And if, we merge and everyone keeps playing along racial lines, you're at a disadvantage. Not good.
Yep.
JP's 100% on board. The girls are a little bit hesitant, especially Christina. Rightly so.
Yes.
But if everyone else is gung-ho on board, definitely state your piece saying you don't think so. But if everyone else wants to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah. And the thing is you can't fight too hard about it either, because we'd be hypocrites to say, like, fight them hard on this. No, as long as they're throwing the challenge to not vote you out, because the person who should be most vocal about not throwing this challenge should be Billy.
Yep.
Do they include Billy in the conversation?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to
Not.
say. I mean, because this has happened in a previous season, that person gets voted out.
Yep. So they go to the challenge. JP sits out, and JP is ripped. Dude is jacked.
And meanwhile, Billy's just going in.
And Billy's just like, I think I should sit out. JP's like, no, I'm going to be terrible at this.
I was going to say, I think they even have a comment where they're like, are you sure, bro? You want to sit out? And he's like, yeah.
What kind of challenge is it?
They're told a story, and they have to remember the details of a story and make it across like an obstacle course and then answer the questions at the end. And if they so choose, they can reread the story that Jeff told them. There's a book at the starting line. And Ozzy just casually walks over to the book and just starts reading while everyone else is racing down the course. Ozzy's group is just like, oh, okay. Reading along. And they are going so slow. Ozzy's just like strolling through this challenge. Jeff's like, I too try without a care in the world. might be the most blatant challenge throw I think we ever see in Survivor.
Oh, because he's just Ozzy's hamming it up. He's just smiling, just like la la la, just untying this knot.
They don't even make it to the end of the course by the time everyone else finishes.
One thing I do think is kind of funny, though, is that Hiki Tribe had some problems in the middle, and I, too, like, kind of made up ground.
Yeah.
Jeff was like, oh, my gosh. Hiki trouble.
If I2 wasn't throwing the challenge, Hiki would have been back at Tribal Council for sure.
Absolutely.
What is interesting is Puka and Rero actually tie for first.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this before.
And I don't think we ever see it again.
They went back and they checked the tape, and they're like, we checked the tape. This was a tie.
So you both win the reward of tarps.
Yeah, which a tarp is, I think, the number one comfort, quote-unquote, reward that you can get.
Yeah, if you can win a reward, it's the tarp. That's the one you want. So good for both of these tribes.
No one's complaining about tying here.
Nope. I2 loses, shockingly. And as they're like...
Oh, darn.
As they're like, oh, no, we gotta go to Tribal Council. And Billy looks over at Candace and goes, I'm next. And Candace is like, oh, well... We love you, Billy. And he goes, I love you. And, just a little innocuous moment. Probably nothing will come of that.
Sure.
Yeah, probably nothing. I2 gets to send someone to exile, and they choose Yule, which is the wrong move. Send Penner. Send Jonathan.
Try and concentrate the number of people who can have the idol. It just makes sense. And also, Raro and Puka have proven to be, at least in the challenges so far, like the two most consistent and strongest.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with sending Penner back.
Do it. But nope, Yule's going to exile where he finds the super idol. Yule has it.
Oh,
Whoops.
yeah.
So back on I2, Billy and Christina, they want to flip the game and knock Ozzy out. God, that would have been hilarious. Unfortunate, but hilarious.
It would have been
And
unfortunate.
Survivor changes forever.
It would have, it would have changed Survivor forever, and it would have just absolutely killed this season.
Yeah. And they're trying to convince Cecilia to flip on Ozzy. So Cecilia has become the swing vote. So we're going to go to Tribal Council. And Billy is going to be very vocal here. He's going to call out JP and Ozzy for throwing the challenge. JP gets very heated. JP is a huge douche.
JP's like, I was on the bench.
Him and Billy do exchange pretty heatedly in this tribal, and I felt like Billy was on the right side of most of it, and what parts JP had correct were definitely very insensitive, very indelicate, very much something that someone would say to someone that they know they're not going to have to spend a whole lot more time with.
Yeah, I think if I had to rank everyone on the season, JP comes in last for being such a douche.
It's like Adam and JP. I think those are the only two, and Adam only has a couple moments.
Yeah, Adam's like definitely a frat boy, but JP is a douche. Anyway, but then Billy says he and Candace are in love, so it's okay. He won. He got his real prize.
He already won Survivor.
And everyone just loses their minds.
Just like, what?
Yeah, Jeff's jaw hits the floor.
Yep.
Like, wait, I didn't think that this is something that we were going to be talking about.
Jeff is, I think, rarely completely shocked at Tribal Council. This is one.
Because he's being fed information.
Yep.
Like, he knows what's going on in camp.
He's got at least some idea what's happening.
Yeah, he's got a crowbar that he can use to pry on things, but...
No producers or camera people can tell him about love.
Jeff went back to the production tent that night. He's like, please tell me we got Candace saying, I love you to Billy.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, we got it. We didn't think anything of it, but now we're going to go ahead and throw some bongo drums over that cut.
Unbelievable. Iconic. Billy's going to go home here, but I think, not counting all-star seasons where we have returning players, but if you take all newbie seasons and you rank every single second boot of all time, Billy's got to be close to number one, if not number one.
Mainly just because of this.
Yeah. Iconic.
And it's a real bummer. And I'm not gonna talk poorly about Billy for this whole thing at all. So it's all love. Billy,
We've all been there, Billy.
Billy, if you listen to this,
I love you.
No one here thinks less of anyone. It's all respect. Love it.
I will say that this is also a nomination for memorable moment.
Oh yeah, this is up there.
When I saw the cast list and saw everyone's faces, I'm like, Billy.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else you did, but you said that you loved him.
And when I said earlier, there's only a few moments from the season I like. This is one of them.
Yeah.
This is so funny. Also, another thing, Christina talks about how she's not into dishonesty or backstabbing. Welcome to Survivor, Christina. Ends up being 4 votes for Billy, 1 vote for Christina. Right move, it all comes down to who Celia feels more comfortable with. Who was she close to? Ozzy, JP, Christina? Whatever that answer is, I have to assume it was Ozzy and JP because that's the way she voted, and we have no evidence to suggest either way. So I'm just going to assume that's who Cecilia felt the most comfortable with, therefore it's the right move.
Yeah, and just to build on top of that, if you feel equally as comfortable with both on a social standpoint, pick the people that are going to help you win challenges so that you don't have to go back again.
Ozzy and JP.
Yeah.
Easy choice. Ozzy is incredible, period, and JP's ripped.
Yeah, they seem very strong in the first challenge, so no reason to break from that.
They have 100% success rate at every challenge they didn't throw. So for best player of the episode, I had Yule. He caught 2 chickens, he made an alliance with Becky, and he found the super idol.
Yule, for exactly the same reasons, I got no qualms.
Not a bad episode.
Yep. Worst player, I have Christina. She's fighting with Ozzy, and he's proven to be more knowledgeable, so it's just, like, not great.
See, and I went the other way with that. I ended up saying Ozzy because whether or not you hate Billy, it was Ozzy's idea to throw the challenge, and that was the wrong move right now. So, yeah, Ozzy and Christina got into it, so he's still a part of that, but he's the driving force behind this idiotic challenge throw, and I couldn't look past it.
The one thing that prevented me from giving it to Ozzy is his position rose. He is number 1 now, and now Christina's last.
On his tribe of 4.
Yeah. And when it's like a close call, that's usually my tiebreakers. How did their overall position get affected by the episode? Now, Ozzy's went up. A little bit of results-oriented thinking, but that's just kind of my tiebreaker when I don't have anything else. So
Nothing really tells us that Ozzy wasn't already at the top.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to go and side with Derek here with Ozzy.
Episode 3, Flirting and Frustration. We get a tribe dissolve in a very overly complicated way of dividing tribes, which we're just going to skip right over.
Yeah.
It took like a third of the episode to divide the tribes up.
Yeah, they divided the tribes into 4 tribes, and then they reassembled the tribes into 2 tribes.
Yada, yada.
I was texting you guys about it, like, okay, someone was like, some intern was needlessly complicated.
Just draw rocks. Crying out loud. So once on the new tribe, and I suppose we should probably read off what the new tribes are.
Yeah, just quickly.
The new I2 tribe. So Cecilia and Ozzy are both staying on I2. And they are joined by Becky, Cowboy, and Yule from Puka, Candace, Flicka, and Jonathan from Rero, and Sundra from Hiki. And then the new Rero tribe. Adam and Parvati are staying on Rero. And they are joined by Brad and Jenny from Puka. They're joined by Christina and JP from I2. And Nate, Rebecca, and Stephanie from Hiki. And so I just kind of want to bite the bullet here and talk about the proper strategy at this point, which is an unfortunate strategy. You got to stick to race lines. And let's say this tribe was not divided by race. This season was not divided by race.
Stick with original tribe.
You got to stick with the original tribe. And this is especially true on any season where you were divided by a group. White collar, blue collar, no collar. Brain, beauty, brawn. If you were given a label, you may not necessarily want to stick to that label, but you have to assume other people in your season are going to try and stick to their label and run it to the end, whatever that label may be. So you have to think along those lines too, and at least try and keep your numbers. You don't necessarily have to work with them all the way to the end, but you don't want them to go out early in like a tribe swap situation. You want to try and hold those numbers. You don't want to be the person who ends up turning on your own group. Unfortunately, this time it's race. So, as much as it's uncomfortable and we don't want to do it, it's the right move for everybody on the season to stick with your race.
Yeah, Survivor synthesizes their own voting blocks into these new tribes. That's kind of the way that I'm going to look at it. Because now there are several groups that, yes, are divided by race, but people who are familiar with each other. Stick with the evil that you know, and generally, I mean, we don't know about any super wild cards yet. I mean, we know that Cowboy is a little bit out there, and we know that Flick is a little out there, but we haven't seen any kind of erratic behavior that derails any tribe.
Not yet.
Right, because, I mean, so far, those tribes have been winning.
Yeah.
But you got to stick to your voting blocks in these new tribes, and try and find voting blocks that can work together today. You know, this is a marriage of convenience for right now. So, yeah, that is the proper strategy.
These are tribes of 9. You just need 5 people. Try to get 2 groups together.
Maybe 3 gang up on one particular race. Maybe the white people. Usually a solid bet.
We recommend ganging up on the white people.
If you're ever on a race-based season of Survivor, again, gang up on the white people. Not because it's fair, but because it's the best look for TV.
Optics.
Optics.
I'm not touching this with an 11-foot pole.
And
This is Derek. He's not touching this with an 11-foot pole.
Also, they deserve it. Like, come on.
And then if you're on the white person tribe, I can't recommend saying, well, let's have the whiteys stick together. It's not a good look. Don't do it.
Yeah.
We're trying to make light of a very serious and uncomfortable topic. Forgive us.
Yeah.
Cook
yeah.
Islands.
Cook Islands, everybody.
And this is why it is not must-watch Survivor.
Yeah,
because
this was such a bad
because
idea.
because the optimal way to play Survivor is to perpetuate synthesized segregation, and that is just not right.
Yeah, the best way to win is to exclude some people.
Yes.
And if when you divide people by race, it makes it a little too easy.
Yeah.
Not great.
On positive news, because I just want to share this, we did find out semi-recently that Survivor will be casting half people of color from now on.
That's good.
So I am actually super excited for this change.
Yeah, no, it's, the one thing I will say for the season, it's very diverse. They went about it the wrong way.
Yes.
But diversity in Survivor is great. You want as many different types of people on a show as possible just to get interesting dynamics. Let's just hope they don't ever divide them by race again.
Yes, please. No, and they won't.
They won't.
We shouldn't have to worry about it.
It was the mid-2000s. It was an awkward time. A lot of mistakes were made.
Stephanie was throwing out slurs the other season. Mid-2000s.
So Cecilia asks Candace about the whole Billy thing, and Candace is like, what?
Who's Billy?
What are you talking about? Really fun.
What a great time to have a tribe swap, too,
Yeah.
because of that.
Perfect time.
That's a great bonding moment.
So Parvati starts playing the flirt game. She's a flirt. She's going to flirt with all the guys. You got to be careful with that because we saw this last season with Misty.
We saw that turn real fast.
Yeah, it's a very tricky game to play. You need some dumb guys.
Right, and I will say it's different because even though it wasn't given to us in the edit, we did think that it was maybe because Misty had been to Exile Island and had a chance of getting the idol, but they didn't ever tell us that in an edit.
Parvati's not been to Exile.
Parvati has not been to Exile, so theoretically, she doesn't have the idol.
Yep. Guys, don't fall for the flirt game. Come on. Don't be dumb.
Yeah. Also, it's 2020 now. If you fall for the flirt game in Survivor, you haven't been paying attention.
No.
And you deserve it.
You've probably never seen the show. Maybe one season max.
Yes.
Worth it.
And it wasn't one of Parvati's seasons.
So Becky and Candace decide to form an alliance, and they bring in Yul and Jonathan. Great. Awesome. Let's do this. But they need a fifth, and they decide to bring in Flicka.
Oh, boy.
It's fine so far, but Flicka ends up being really wishy-washy about this whole thing, which isn't great. It's a bad sign.
Well, it's because she's like a very fluid person. She's like, wherever the wind takes me.
Yeah.
Like, I know we talked about Courtney being kind of a hippie.
Flicka is in the same vein.
Yes.
She's less annoying than Courtney, but she's similar. So if you have a Flicka who's wishy-washy, and then for Yul and Becky, they have Cowboy, not the best person to have in your alliance either. Who else do you get? Well, you get Sundra, 'cause she has no other allies in this tribe. She's kind of alone. She's the only person from Mahiki here, so, that would be my plan if I were them.
And we didn't really see them try, and that was kind of a bummer. I'm sure that conversations took place, but yeah, if you've got two groups of two and you need 5, Josh already said it. The numbers are there. You just need to cobble them together.
Yep.
I'm not sure why. Like, it is kind of confusing to me why neither of these groups of 3 are trying to get Cecilia and Ozzy, just because they're the only group who has 2 members. So if you can pull them in, there's your 5 right there, and you have what would probably be a fairly strong team.
Becky and Candace made it first.
I guess.
And Yul and Jonathan connect really well, so.
Yeah. And I also kind of think of this this tribe as 3 groups of 2, Flicka on an island, Cowboy on an island, and then Sundra coming in on her own.
Accurate.
They're doing a good job at not sticking to just the race. So good on them.
But I think that's just because some of the people are completely unreliable.
That's also fair.
Which is fun. I love when unreliable people are on Survivor.
Yeah, you want to bring Reem back every season.
Hell yeah. Yul ends up telling Becky he has the idol. Don't love that. Don't love it. It's going to work out for Yul into the merge with this. Becky's not going to betray him so far. But this is not optimal. It's too early to be telling people that.
I do think it is too early, but I will say because Jonathan is on the same tribe, and we're going to find out that I don't think he's been there more than one time yet, but Jonathan is going to get sent back.
Yep.
Yul might just be thinking to himself, if I have someone who knows I have the idol, they can better lie for me if people are asking, does Yule have the idol? She can say, he has told me he did not find it. He might be playing it cool with you, but with me, he's told me he has not found it. It's risky.
Yep. There's pros, but the cons outweigh them.
This early in the game, it is a risky move. I can't call it bad. I can't.
I'm going to call it bad.
But I'm going to say that it's risky. It's like Kobe early on, just throwing people under the bus. You might be seen as the schemy type, right? But it could pay huge dividends.
It could. It's not something I would do.
Yeah,
I think it's bad.
I probably wouldn't do it either. But
my stance is I don't like it.
Yeah, same. Immunity Challenge, just the classic endurance race where you race around the oval track. Raro destroys I2 at this one.
I do like the hand slapping between like Yule and Adam and Nate.
Yeah, Yule's like, guys, let's just fight him. Yule, what's your plan? I don't think you can win that way.
That's not how any of this works.
Like, it's a noble last stand, and it'd be really cool if this was a movie. But I don't think that's how this challenge works.
Because he's just like, guys, let's just fight him. Like, just so casual.
Like I guess it's like a way where like, hey, let's just fight him. We'll save some energy and we'll go out swinging.
Thanks,
like, I
Nate.
guess, but because they had no chance. The other tribes got Nate, Adam, and JP, who were just tanks.
Yeah. And, it sucks to say, but, like, Cowboy couldn't hold his weight.
No. So they get to send someone from I2 to Exile Island, but that person gets to miss Tribal Council. They don't get to vote, but they can't go home either.
Safety without power.
So the right move here is to just pick the weakest person. So that person is safe, and then they have to hang on to him. They pick Candace. I guess I don't know who would be a better choice, but I was just like, that's probably not the first person I would have jumped to. Maybe Cowboy.
Wouldn't it be Jonathan?
I guess you could send Jonathan.
I'm just thinking in regards to the idol.
Sure. And that would be a fair pick as well. But since this is someone who's missing Tribal Council and they can't go home,
yeah.
One other way you could go is pick the weakest person. But I guess Jonathan would be a good pick too.
Yeah. And the ideal way to go about this, if you know what's going on the other tribes, so if you know who they're probably voting out, you want to send them, right? You want to throw a wrench in their plans. They have no idea what's going on in that tribe.
4 different tribes came together. It's hard to predict.
So
if anything, maybe you could pluck like Sundra out there just because she's the only one that doesn't have a second person of their group. And
that was what I was thinking. I'm thinking that Nate and Rebecca should be pulling for Sundra to get sent out.
I think you shouldn't pull too hard for anybody.
No. I'm not saying pull hard. I'm just saying like, hey, I think we should send Sundra because she's not great in challenges. So let's make sure we keep their team weak. If you're not going to do that, go mathematics and send either Penn or Yule back out there so that you know where the idol might be.
Sure.
Either way, Candace was the wrong move. You're kind of opening a weird can of worms here. Endless, butterfly effect possibilities. Why are you sending Candace out there? It doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, I'm glad they did because it's going to give us a hilarious story arc with Candace constantly being sent to Exile Island.
That's true.
So it works out fine for us. But Candace is going to miss Tribal, and that kind of throws a wrench into Yule, Jonathan, and Becky's plans. Cowboy wants to take out Becky. Cowboy, did you not listen to the earlier part of this podcast? Don't turn on your original tribe yet.
Yeah, like, what's the deal? Like, especially because later on we're going to get this whole, like, I can't trust my original tribe, my mistake. Maybe Yule, the super intelligent one, is like, I remember when you were, like, trying to vote out Becky on, like, day 5 for no reason.
So he wants to take out Becky for some dumb reason. He gets Ozzy, Cecilia, Sundra, and Flicka all say yes. And Flicka tells Jonathan this. And Jonathan's like, Yule, we have a problem. And these two go to work, and they work hard. And they get Flicka and Cowboy both to come back to their side and join them. Ends up being 5 votes for Cecilia, 3 votes for Becky. Really solid move from Yule's part and Jonathan's part.
Yeah. And honestly, if we're just jumping right into best, I couldn't decide between Jonathan or Yule. I didn't think that there was really any differentiating factor, but whenever you can scramble and get people to come over and you end up getting to happen what you want to have happen, good for you. So I'm very comfortable with giving it as a tie between Jonathan and Yule.
I can do that. I originally gave it to Jonathan, but I can't remember why I decided.
I know why.
Yeah,
because
Yule
told Becky about the idol.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's Jonathan. It's
I was going to say, I was about to mention that, and I didn't even see the episode.
That's right.
Yeah, and that didn't bother me too much.
So I want to give it to just Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Jonathan just because if you're going to be talking about a tie, that would work if there's nothing to differentiate the two, and they both made a great move, but there's just something that is pulling Yule down, so.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a worst player, Derek.
For worst, I actually, again, had a tie between Flicka and Cowboy.
Jesus.
Because, like, why are you jumping ship on the first vote to vote out someone who was not the worst performer on your tribe. This doesn't make any sense at all. So just to both of them in general for being unreliable.
Yes, but they ended up on the right side of the vote.
They did end up on the right side of the vote.
So, I had considered them. I ended up going with Sundra because she ended up being on the wrong side of the vote. And we saw nothing of her attempting to connect with Yule and Jonathan, which she should be trying to connect with everybody. And maybe she was, but we didn't see it. And the fact that she ended up on the wrong side of the vote says she wasn't obviously connecting enough. So I ended up going with Sundra.
I'm going to side with Ryan. There's no reason why, as a singular person with no other previous tribe members, why you shouldn't just be planting yourself in the middle of an alliance here.
Yep, seems fair.
Episode 4, Ruling the Roost. On Rero, all the boys are very lazy, pisses off the girls. JP in particular is very bossy and just kind of like sits around and tells people what to do. I really don't like JP. He sucks. I2 ends up winning reward, and they send Adam to Exile Island. Now, nobody on that group had been to Exile before, so you got to pick somebody. Might as well pick someone strong to try and weaken them. Adam's a good pick.
Absolutely. I love the Adam pick. I said that this was good.
Yeah, definitely a good call.
And actually, I think we glossed right over this. A point that I wanted to bring up. Candace came back from Exile Island, and they were asking her, like, oh, well, why do you think that they sent you to Exile Island? Why do you think they did that? And she was just like, oh, gee whiz, I didn't even have time to think about it.
Yeah, Candace kind of takes on that dumb blonde role.
Yeah, like,
but she's a med student, dude.
Yeah, and she's like, I hadn't even thought. What have you been doing for the last 36 hours? You know that this has been the one thing you've been thinking about on repeat. So I just wanted to say, like, you need to have your story straight. Like, try and figure something out. You could even say something like, I don't know, maybe Adam and Parvati wanted to make sure I didn't get voted out. I don't know why. We never had an alliance before, so
Sure.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Something.
Sure.
Because if you try and play stupid and people are like, you're not stupid,
Yeah.
that doesn't look good. So I just wanted to bring that up. That's a bad lie.
So Parvati starts flirting with Nate, and they end up forming an alliance, and Nate spills the beans that the guys have an alliance. Whoops. Nate. Can't be
And
giving
this
that
is
information
the
away.
trick with Parvati.
You fell for the classic blunder.
Yep.
Even if you don't get an actual alliance out of it, you can still get information.
Don't start a land war in Asia. And don't go up against Parvati when wits are on the line. It's easy.
Cowboy ends up climbing a tree to get eggs out of a bird's nest. It's just a baby bird in there, and he knocks out of the tree. Luckily, we get him back in the nest. But it's like, oh no, why?
Damn it, Cowboy.
Yeah, and honestly, this was... I've been saying it for a couple seasons. We've been missing out on human moments because I'm pretty emotional when it comes to, like, the need to kill animals for food. Like, yeah, I'll do it if I need to survive. Survivor is a special circumstance. But, like, that image of Jonathan Penner holding this baby bird in his hands, like, and he says, what do we do now? Like, that will honestly stick with me.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Powerful moment.
Yeah.
Because he's a softie.
Yeah.
Like,
he's
everyone's
like trying not to cry.
everyone's like, he's a schemy, plotty guy, and there he is just holding this baby bird, like,
Just devastated.
and he's like pissed at Cowboy, like, why did you do this? You had no reason. Nobody wanted these eggs. Nothing.
But they get the baby back in the nest, so hopefully everything worked out.
Hopefully, happy ending.
I2 ends up winning immunity because Ozzy is just a beast in the water and destroys the water portion single-handedly.
And turns out that Derek has accidentally chosen the physical beast of this season again. To my credit, we had no idea after episode 1.
How that Ozzy's an elite
Surprise.
athlete.
There's back-to-back seasons that I've picked off an SS class in physicality.
And then, to top it all off, Cowboy, the last part of the challenge, you have to make fire. And Cowboy does this method that just looks insane. It looks like he's just spinning around a piece of twine, like, around his head.
Yeah, so for some context, like, he lights this, like, twine. I don't remember if it's exactly twine, but he lights this twine on fire. And they're trying to start to build the fire to burn through the rope, and then the fire goes out. So he just picks up, like, the smoldering twine, and then just starts doing, like, a fire dance thing, and he's just like, ha ha ha, just gonna have some fun with it.
Yep.
And Jeff's like, either they think he's crazy or he's a hero. And I was like, you know what, that was a legendary call from Jeff Probst, because, like, what do you do?
It's one of the most surreal things we've ever seen on Survivor, because all of a sudden he's just dancing around with a fire, and I'm just like, what is happening?
Because it works.
It works. He gets the fire going, and they win the challenge.
Cowboy is the hero somehow. He looked practiced on this.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's done this before.
So, to his credit, that was cool.
I want to learn how to make fire the Cowboy way.
Yeah, I loved it. This was amazing.
So on Rero's going to Tribal Council, and Stephanie says, she's the weakest and implies she should go home.
She specifically says, I am the weakest link, and I audibly responded, goodbye.
And then she just walks away, and everybody's like, what was that?
Okay, bye.
Does she want to go home?
Is this like 3D chess? Like,
And so, all right, Stephanie just kind of offered herself up on a platter. Sure, take her out. But the women are all just sick of JP's BS because he's so bossy. So they get all the women together and end up even getting Adam and Brad as well. They see the writings on the wall, and they hop ship to join the women.
To their credit.
To their credit. And it ends up being 7 votes for JP, 2 votes for Stephanie. The only person left out is Nate.
And JP did not see it coming.
Hilarious blindside.
Yeah, and he was a pretty good sport about it, too. Mm-hmm. He was like, nice job, guys. You really got me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for all the silly things that he did while he was in the game, that was a gracious exit.
Yeah, very gracious exit. What a move. What a move. A great move for the women.
Yeah.
And then great for Adam and Brad to hop on board and just be like, oh, writing's on the wall. Bye, JP.
Yep. And also, just in case, you have someone now that you have ammo on for the next vote, if needed.
Stephanie is an easy next boot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't even want to be here.
Which will happen. So for best player of the episode, I gave it to Ozzy. He was trying to pull himself off the bottom of the alliance. He caught a ton of fish. He was amazing in the challenge, and he helped send Adam to exile. So just for someone who's on the bottom of the alliance, he's doing everything he can to crawl his way back up, though.
Yeah, he kind of helped win the challenge, and in doing so, saved himself from going home. I also had him as the best, but I did go so far as to give an honorable mention to Rebecca for being the catalyst that brought the women together on the losing tribe, Rero. Good for Rebecca on doing that, because when you can get a 7-1 vote, or 7-2 vote, that's awesome, especially when it seemed like it came pretty last second, and Stephanie was an easy vote.
Yep.
Kind of held her hostage a little bit.
Yeah, she turned away from the easy vote to make a better move for her game.
Yes, so I loved it. This was great all around. So not quite as good as Ozzy, I'll say, but honorable mention.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, Ozzy's he's the gold standard for playing from the bottom in this episode. Like, if you're the bottom of the alliance or bottom of the tribe, pretty much this is the gold standard for how to play.
Sure.
Worst player, I have Nate. He was pretty lazy around camp. He gave Parvati too much information, and he was the only person left out of the vote.
He was the only person left out of the vote. I gave it to Stephanie because if you basically give people a free pass to send you home, now you're only being kept around because people can beat you. I'm not saying she can't win the game. We literally saw, Jenna win the game in Season 6 after being held hostage, but I still had to give her worst for the episode for basically saying, all right, yeah, vote me out.
Now, technically, she didn't say that.
She doesn't say the words. But
and then when they went and asked her, do you want to go home? She's like, no, I don't want to go home. So it was just like a moment of weakness that was misconstrued. And then she tried to redeem herself and got on the right thing and was part of the majority alliance to vote out Nate.
Right.
Or vote out JP. So that's why I didn't give to Stephanie, because she turned things around, even though she did make one really
She
bad
didn't
vote.
turn it around. She jumped on the wagon that was turning around.
Sure.
So if she had been the driving force, I wouldn't make her worse. Sure. But
I'm going to end up siding with Ryan here and going with Nate. There's just a little bit more from him that is just digging him down further.
And nothing really good.
No.
Episode 5, don't cry over spilled octopus.
What?
Don't do it.
I'll do what I want.
So, Adam, Brad, and Nate, they now know, the girls don't necessarily need the guys, so let's work super hard. Good for them. Right call.
Talk about an attitude adjustment. Parvati does a great job of narrating, and she's like, I kind of like it. I kind of like the girls having the power. She's going to take this and run with it.
Yeah. We get a weight-bearing reward challenge, the classic, you put weight on, you pick who to put weight on. And Nate and Adam are just so good at this. So jacked. They destroy everyone.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how much strategy you use. Because they basically did what we would have, loaded them up first, and then after they gave them a ton of weight, they're like, okay, yeah, we need to start spreading this out when they saw that it wasn't working.
Well, they saw Nate and Adam struggling the whole time. They're like, oh yeah, they must be down. They must be going down soon. Nope, never. Nate and Adam staying through the whole game.
And let's say they're faking it. Let's say they're hamming it up a little bit. The old Austin, except not
the first half of the Austin plan.
Yes. Credit to them either way. Either way, they beasted this challenge.
Oh yeah. They sent Jonathan to Exile Island. Fine pick. Could have been Yule, could have been Jonathan, either one of those.
Anyone who's been there already to weaken the other tribe.
Yeah. And the third person who's been there was Candace, but I'd say you send one of the two stronger people.
Yeah.
Just to weaken them. Christina, she accidentally spills some cooked octopus into the ocean. Well, I don't know what she was doing. She had it down by the...
Why was she cooked? It's already cooked and
Yeah.
she's down by the ocean?
I don't know what she was doing.
There was a part of her, she was talking about a recipe, and it was adding salt water at some point, but I don't know why she had to take it down to the beach to do it. You'd think that you'd have some kind of like coconut or something that would let you bring salt water up to it.
You would think.
But this is kind of combined with the fact that she was bossing people around all afternoon about it and getting kind of mean when people weren't doing things exactly right. And then she proceeds to dump the octopus out on the beach. A real karma-style moment.
And she tries to blame it on Jenny. She's like, I thought Jenny was here helping me.
What?
You saw her leave. Also, what was Jenny going to do?
Yeah. So not great.
It doesn't work. Not great for Christina. Cowboy, Flicka, and Ozzy, who kind of have their own alliance, three peas in a pod, they journey to another island just to go on an adventure, and they find Railroad Beach. What's up, guys?
Whoops.
This was something that I remember.
Yeah, this is classic.
It's just, if I remember correctly, it's almost like one of those, kind of like imagine like The Office, basically, when you just have the camera on like a specific focus and then someone comes in the front door of the office and it just kind of like pans out quickly and it's just like, oh, who's this randomly in the background?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I would be willing to bet that some of the camera guys at Raro Camp didn't know that they were coming. They're like, oh my God.
Like, wide,
people.
wide.
And I think my favorite part of the interaction, I think it was Adam. He gets a confessional and they're like, just the three people we didn't want to see. Flicka, Cowboy, and Ozzy. Why are you here?
And so Cowboy annoys them all with a super long story and then tries to get some of their supplies. Like, can we get some of your spices? No.
No, get out of here.
Get lost.
This is a great example of a Cowboy, again, not being able to read the room. Now, I mean, yeah, you know what? In life, you never know what you can and cannot get away with unless you ask. On Survivor, that'll give you the kaboot real fast.
Yep.
But granted, it's not like they can do it.
Yeah, they can't vote him out. What are they going to do?
This felt a lot different from Danny's birthday party.
Yeah.
Because that one was more of like an opportunity to commingle as full tribes. This was just like three people going AWOL on a long extended canoe trip to wherever for no reason. And by the way, they're like stealing supplies like off the island as they're going.
I mean, you don't know, but then, you know.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, we just took some of their fruit. Meanwhile, back at camp, Yule, Becky, and Candace, they decided to bring Sandra into their alliance because you can't trust Flicka or Cowboy anymore.
And they have this great opportunity to talk to her because, you know, those other three are off in no man's land.
Hey, Sandra, since you're here with us and we're the only people here, you want to be in the alliance? Perfect. Love it.
Thanks.
Sounds great. This is good for everybody involved.
Hell yeah. I2 ends up winning immunity. Sorrero's going back to Tribal Council. And they all decide Christina's going because she's just pissing all of us off. And Stephanie and Nate, they go off to talk. And, you know, Nate's like, oh, don't worry. It's Christina. And Stephanie's like, oh, okay. That's fine. You know, I almost wouldn't mind going to get some mashed potatoes, but it's okay. And Nate's like, what? You didn't learn your lesson from last time?
Back you go.
Do you want to go home? And I think based on Stephanie's like final words in the episode, I think she kind of wanted to go home.
It's hard to base it off of just the... I think there's a difference between, you know, wanting to quit and being relieved that it's over.
Yeah, the second one I think is more accurate.
Because she was kind of like, okay, like I'm not super bummed, but I do think that it was absolutely blown out of proportion. Because, I mean, y'all remember way back in season 2 when Jerry and Amber were talking about foods that they miss and pissing everybody off? That's all Stephanie was doing.
Hers was more like, oh, I wouldn't mind getting some of that tonight. Like, that would have been okay.
Sure, but, I mean, Parvati even asks her, like, hey, you were talking about mashed potatoes? And she's like, wait, someone really? Like, Nate took that and extrapolated to me wanting to go home?
Well, to be fair, in the last episode, you implied you wanted to go home.
Yeah, you implied you were the weakest link.
And
we're just connecting the dots
didn't learn
here.
your lesson.
And that's where I don't blame Nate for drawing conclusions, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for Nate to want to vote out one of his original tribe members. And you know what? Maybe at this point he is closer with everybody else. It has been a couple votes now, so I totally understand. If you feel secure with where you're at and Stephanie's not a part of it, then it is fine.
It ends up being 7 votes for Stephanie and 1 vote for Christina. If you can get everyone on board with such a huge tribe, you know, you have 8 people in a tribe and it's a unanimous vote for Stephanie, you do it.
It's the right move.
Yeah, awesome. Tribe unity. Derek, what do you got for best player?
For best player, I actually had Yule because he brought in Sandra to make a final 5 alliance while everyone else was off having adventures on a different island. And as a tribe, I2 just keeps on rolling in the challenges. So I had to give it to Yule for being that driving force.
Okay. I actually had Adam because he worked so hard around camp. He was catching a bunch of food. He was a beast in that reward challenge, and he got rid of Stephanie. So I just thought it was a really good bounce back episode for Adam.
What kept me away from all the guys on Rero is that one, that tribe keeps losing, and two, all the guys kind of redeemed themselves. So where he got points and maybe did the most, everyone was kind of doing it.
And I don't really take challenges into consideration.
I know.
So
I understand
that's why.
that.
I'm going to side with Derek here.
Okay. How about worst player?
Cowboy. Come merge time, he has absolutely dug himself a hole to get out of on this tribe. I know that you could make an argument for Christina, but
Which I will.
The fact is, she wound up on the right side of the vote. Cowboy went and dug himself a hole literally by going to a different island, gets himself for sure locked out of this Final Five alliance that went on while he was gone, and he's not nearly as useful as Ozzy around camp. So now, not just his own tribe. So, like, okay, think about it. We always talk about, we don't want to say that no one can win based on what they do in the pre-merge. Well, guess what? Now everybody has gotten a little taste of Cowboy, and I almost want to say that he couldn't win after this because everyone hates him so much. So I said Cowboy because he had no reason to make another tribe completely hate him, and he managed to do it.
I'm going with Christina because she was so bossy and she spilled the octopus. And yeah, she survived, but it had nothing to do with her. It was 100% to do with Stephanie.
I don't think it's safe to say that Cowboy has no chance to win.
I'm not saying that.
I think you could put him in the conversation of the least likely to be able to win. And I'm going to side with Derek again.
2 for 2.
It's rare, Ryan.
Yeah.
You can't
rare
get
row?
mad.
For the record, I gave the dishonorable mention to Christina for all the aforementioned reasons.
Yeah.
As deserved.
Episode 6, Plan Voodoo.
Iconic.
Oh, yeah. Iconic. Yes. So after Tribal Council, Christina and Adam get into a big fight because during Tribal Council, Adam basically called Christina annoying.
Yeah.
Which isn't great. But yeah, Christina does not handle it well. And it's like, oh, you're kind of proving Adam's point here, Christina.
Because Christina was great at Tribal Council because they were just like, throwing mud and throwing sticks and vegetables. And she's like, guys, I'm sorry. I really wish you would have told me. Which, you know what? It could be complete BS.
And that's not the onus of them. They don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah. They don't have the onus. And so she was basically just like, hey, you could have told me. That is all you can do at that point. Is say like, yeah, you could have told me, I would have changed. But she doesn't like chastise them for not. She's just like apologetic. Like, hey, come on, let's mend these wounds. Oh, you almost had it. You almost had it, Christina. Just stop it right there. Come back and be like, guys, thank you for giving me another chance. I promise I can do better. And then if Adam has to, bare his soul now, let him dig his hole.
Sure.
You've done all you can do. Like, you've made your mistakes. Start on the right foot again now.
But nope. Christina's going to fight back.
Yes. We're going to get snippy.
Yep. And it's like, if everyone's telling you something, and Christina, you got to take it. And the problem might be you.
Yes. If everyone says you're annoying,
you're probably annoying.
And you're the only one who doesn't think so, it's probably you.
Cowboy wants to bring the immunity idol to the reward challenge.
Oh, boy.
Because he has a spiritual connection to it. And Jonathan's like, no, that's arrogant. We're not bringing that with. It's a bad look for all of us. And he's right.
The other tribe will perceive that as arrogance.
Yep.
There's no reason to do this.
This is the perfect dichotomy of Survivor in a way. Because Cowboy is thinking all about himself. Me. This is what matters to me. And Penner's like, this is what everybody else perceives that as. Penner is 105% in the right.
Maybe even 106.
Yes, maybe even 106, which is more than 105.
Correct.
Is it though?
So I'm not going to say like, okay, don't let him bring the idol, but you have to find a way to distance yourself from it.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to do this where you just kind of put Cowboy on an island, even though you already are, but you kind of put him on an island, let him carry the idol, basically everyone space out and let him just make an ass of himself in front of everyone else and make it obvious that you didn't want to be a part of this.
Because Jeff will bring this up eventually. Jeff's like at the reward challenge. I see you brought the idol here today. What was that all about? And then Penner could be like, Cowboy just felt like he had a spiritual connection to the idol. Well, guess what? Rero tribe, they're going to buy that hook, line, and sinker. It's the truth, and also they've met Cowboy. Yeah. So there are ways to tiptoe around this, but Penner's right.
Yeah, Penner's right. So they go to the reward challenge, and it's going to be a feast, but the twist is it's double tribal council. One person from each tribe is going home. The winner of the challenge will go to tribal council first, vote somebody out, and then they will get to have a feast and get to watch the second tribal council. We've done this before.
And this is the post.
Yep.
This is the post challenge, one of my favorites. So basically one survivor is holding on to a post for dear life, and then 2 more people have to drag them across the line. I love this challenge.
You have to hold on and people are trying to rip you off. And Candace is a tank.
Yes, just out of nowhere.
Candace is incredible at this challenge.
Like Yule and Jonathan basically already have like Nate across the line before Candace even gets pulled across, and now the girls who pulled Candace off the post, they're just dead. So even though Adam and I can't remember the other person get Ozzy pretty fast.
Yeah, I think it was Adam and Brad, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right. They get him fast, but the girls are so worn out by Candace that they don't even have a shot.
Doesn't matter. They can't even get Sandra.
Yeah.
Candace is just a tank here.
So credit all to Candace.
They're told there will be another twist, but they're not told what. But there will be another twist.
And I'm just going to spoil this right now because this is the 3rd time that something like this has happened through 13 seasons of Survivor. If they didn't figure this out, they're stupid. You're going to get to assign immunity to one person on the losing tribe if you're the winning tribe.
There's an additional extra twist this time, but yeah, that's the assumption.
Yes.
What's going to happen is they're going to get to kidnap someone from the other
Yes.
tribe. So they will join the other tribe temporarily, kind of what happened to Rupert and Pearl Islands.
Yes. To me, the most important part is you get to save somebody from the other tribe.
Yep.
Basically have a backup plan.
So anybody who hadn't thought about this, there's
It's your
no
own fault.
excuses.
It's your own fault.
Yeah. Cowboy has a dream. A dream about a bunch of supernatural yada yada BS and credit cards.
And you might be thinking to yourselves, oh, well, this sounds like pretty much par for the course. This is just more cowboy lunacy. No.
I mean, yes.
Yes, but at the same time, whoa.
It leads us to the birth of one of the single most important Survivor strategies in the entire run of the show. We don't really call it by its original name. Nowadays, it's known as the idol split, the split vote, the idol flush, something like that. The OG name is Plan Voodoo. And I gotta say, I'm upset we went away from this.
And henceforth, I am going to call it Plan Voodoo.
Yeah, for the rest of the podcast, let's call it Plan Voodoo. Because Cowboy comes up with this idea through this weird dream that makes no sense.
Yeah, someone's giving him like 3 credit cards in one hand and 3 credit cards in the other hand, and he just wakes up and then he's just like, I need to have a confessional right now. And he's like, it came to me in a dream. I know how to defeat the idol. Like, I'm just waiting for the lightning strike in the background and the heavy metal guitar to start playing. Like, Billy comes out shredding. Like, we got him.
It was Plan Voodoo, baby. We split the votes.
Ladies and gents, we got him.
And he's convinced either Penner or Candace have the idol because they've both been to exile.
So naturally, he goes to his closest ally, Yule, and tells Yule how to defeat the super idol.
We split the votes between Penner and Candace. Penner plays the super idol. It's out of the game. Candace is gone. It's brilliant. And Yule's like, yeah, that is brilliant. Unfortunately, I am the super idol.
Him in confessional is great. He's like, it's actually an ingenious... Like, you can hear the shock in his voice, like...
I never would have expected this.
Like, holy cow. Why didn't I think of... Why did Cowboy have some kind of weird cross between, like, a fantasy dream and, like, a financial prudence dream and come up with the split vote?
And we will never know.
We'll never know.
But Yule's just like, yeah, he needs to go real fast. Yeah, it's incredible. It's just incredible. This is amazing.
So, yeah, even though we're not going to see it, Plan Voodoo, just remember, a split vote, that was Cowboy's idea first.
Survivor Game Changer, Cowboy.
Should have been on there.
Should have been on Survivor Game Changers. One of the biggest robs.
I would have enjoyed that just to see how terrible it would have ended up because it would have just been, ooh.
Yeah,
he would have gotten slaughtered.
If I was going to cast a list, 20 people who changed the game, Cowboy is on that list because Plan Voodoo. It's just incredible. This reminds me, Derek, I know you've seen The Bourne Supremacy.
Yep.
Josh, you have not. But early on in that movie, there is a robbery and murder in like Germany, and it is blamed on Jason Bourne, Matt Damon's character. He's framed for this murder. And one of the CIA guys working on the case is like, man, something's not adding up. And he's like, hey, my boss, if you come over here, I want to show you this. This is why this couldn't have been Jason Bourne. This doesn't make sense. And he's like explaining all this, like, yeah, it doesn't add up. And his boss is like, yeah, you're right. Next snap, because he's behind it all. So it's just like, oh no, it's a Bourne Supremacy moment. You just told Yule how to beat the super idol when he has the super idol. It's the Born Supremacy. Rip Cowboy.
There's poetry here, and I love it.
This is one of the only episodes of the season I like.
And this was this is where I'm talking about in the second half of this pre-merge. It really starts to heat up. If you are going to only pick a part of this season to watch, I say just go ahead and start on episode 6 and listen to our podcast for the first part, and then just start here because now things are getting juicy.
Episode 2 is pretty good, though.
Yeah, but I mean, let's try and skip through a lot of the
last 3 episodes.
stuff.
Who cares? Yada yada. So Christina, she starts going on an apology tour, which is the right move.
Yep.
The only person who's really interested in helping her is Nate, and he's interested in knocking out Jenny instead for some reason. I don't know why. Don't rock the boat, Nate. Just let her go softly into the night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Which he will eventually. Tribal Council, we're going to go I2 first. And unfortunately, Yule has made his move. It's going to be 6 votes for Cowboy, 1 vote for Jonathan, 1 vote for Candace. Flicka and Cowboy were on the outs.
They're like, look at what we did. We split the vote.
Oh, no.
First split vote.
Yep.
Not really.
2 total votes.
So Cowboy goes out of the game, and the lesson he's learned is he can't trust his fellow Asians. Oh, that's so sad.
I mean, in this very specific case, true.
This very nuanced and unrealistic scenario. Lest we forget that Cowboy himself tried to vote Becky out for no reason like 3 votes ago.
Yep.
So, like, he who lives in glass houses shouldn't throw stones?
Shouldn't swing fire around their head.
Don't swing fire or throw, immunity idols made of rock?
What a character, Cowboy. Gone too soon, one of the best of the season. I know we originally talked about voting out, don't vote out your original tribe mates. This is an exception because Cowboy is so dangerous.
There's red flags everywhere.
Yeah, this is not good, because if this plan doesn't work and the Super Idol doesn't get played, who else could have it? Yule!
Let's draw a comparison really quickly on a recent season. Literally last one with Shane Powers. Shane, though a complete wild card in personality, was fiercely loyal. Cowboy has shown that he is a flipper and a flopper and is completely unreliable. That is the kind of risk that you do vote out if you are better with other people. This is why you keep a Shane, despite him being more volcanic than Cowboy, who's, he's harmony. He wants everyone to have a good time, but he is not reliable. Just vote him out.
So and now the White Tribe is the only one all together still.
Yep. White Tribe's the last one fully intact. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
So Cowboy goes home. Good move. Very good move.
Yeah.
Then we get the other Tribal Council, which I2 gets to watch. And Rero makes it pretty obvious Christina's going. You should know what's probably going to happen is they're going to kidnap someone.
Yes.
I2 gets to kidnap someone and bring them over to their tribe and save them. And they pick Nate.
Dumbest move of the episode. Why?
Why pick Nate?
Why?
I mean, unless, the only thing that I can think of is that maybe they really want to just start whittling down just, the groups. So, from the original I2, if you get out Christina, Ozzy's the only one left, and he has no one to go to.
I mean, and the other thought process is maybe Ozzy's like, yeah, let's not save Christina. I can't stand her, because he didn't really get along with her. So maybe he's like, no, it's fine.
We're fine.
Yeah, maybe they wanted Christina to go, but on paper, this is a bad move.
Yeah,
on paper, this is a really bad move. I feel really badly for Christina. Just pure bad gameplay is the reason that she's going home tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel bad for her. Though.
I don't feel she put herself in the position, but in that moment, I can't help but feel badly for her.
So this ends up being 4 votes for Christina, 2 votes for Jenny. Why does Brad vote for Jenny? A, he's not on the right side of the vote. B, he's voting out for someone who's on his original tribe. Why?
It doesn't
There's no
make
logic
sense.
here.
Rero's kind of a hot mess.
Yeah, Rero's definitely a hot mess. So 2 people go home in this episode, so we give out 2 best and 2 worst, so we have the option to. So I'll go first. My first best player is Sundra for getting rid of Cowboy and saving Nate. This is the only person who benefits from kidnapping Nate is Sundra, because it's somebody from her original alliance. It's the only person I2 that is a good move for, and then she's part of the group that got rid of Cowboy. And then my other person is Candace for being so good in that challenge and getting rid of Cowboy. So Sundra and Candace.
Those are literally my 2, so nothing else to add.
Wow.
Sure, those seemed like fairly weak arguments, but you guys agreed, so... Works for me.
Not a lot of great gameplay in this episode.
No, not really.
That's fair.
The best gameplay in this episode was weirdly like Cowboy, and that's just for coming up with an idea that was poorly executed and telling it to the perfectly wrong person.
Why'd you not give it to Yule?
Picking Nate to join him was so stupid.
Right.
The kidnap for Nate.
Was he like the driving force behind it?
We have no idea.
We don't know, but I'm just going to criticize everyone that isn't Sandra for
And I will say,
I guess.
even though, yes, Yule was perceived as the driving force behind getting rid of Cowboy, he didn't have to twist anybody's arm. So, honestly, the Cowboy vote was kind of a foregone conclusion after they got done narrating Plan Voodoo. So they didn't really ascribe a lot of responsibility for that vote out to anyone. Yeah. So Yule had a couple confessionals in the middle, but was largely invisible for the episode.
Yeah, they didn't really show him putting the vote together. They showed Cowboy trying to put his vote together.
Gotcha.
So they focused on Cowboy.
So it was probably going to happen with or without
Yule.
This dream happening.
Likely.
Okay.
Likely.
Very likely.
That makes me feel better.
For worst player, I gave out Flicka for being on the wrong side of the vote and for choosing to save Nate. And then my other one was for Brad for being on the wrong side of the vote and trying to vote out Jenny. So Flicka and Brad.
The rare time where you and I agree on a double vote out.
Weird across the board.
Yeah, Flicka and Brad.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah. Episode 7, A Closer Look. And we're done.
And we're done.
Hooray.
Episode 8, Why Aren't You Swimming? Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
So Nate is going to go back to Aitu's tribe with them, and he's actually going to have to compete. Like, he's going to be part of their tribe through the reward challenge. So it's kind of weird. But while they're all hanging out, Flicka is getting pissed off and confronting the tribe about being left out, and all this is happening right in front of Nate. I'm not mad at Flicka for doing this, because giving some information to Nate might help her, but yeah, it's not great for everybody else.
The thing with Flicka is she's clearly last on her tribe now. All she can do now is try and sow seeds of chaos. Unfortunately, if you are the sowing seeds of chaos in your pot, that's bad. You need to turn other people against each other. Don't make everybody else hate you more.
Yeah, which is kind of what she does.
Yeah, this is classic shooting yourself in the foot. And Yule has a great confessional. He's like, I don't think we should be doing this conversation in front of Nate. This doesn't make a lot of sense.
Not great.
So he takes his normal, step back, diplomatic approach.
He goes with Becky and Candace, and they make a sub-alliance and determine the boot order. Ozzy's going next, because he's too much of a threat. Then Flicka, then Jonathan, because they don't really trust him a whole lot, and Sandra.
Yeah, and to be fair, Yule does trust Jonathan, but he's like, and they give him a great confessional again, where he's like, I need to take a good long look at myself because everyone else seems to get this off-putting sort of mistrust from Jonathan. I don't get it. So what am I missing? I love this observation because we were just talking about this with Christina and her being annoying and not seeing herself as being annoying. She's like, oh, everyone else is the problem. Yule's like, maybe I'm the problem. Why do I trust Jonathan and nobody else does?
Well, and if you're not seeing the same side as everyone else is, that might, if you take a long enough look at it and don't see any red flags, this could actually be a really good sign because it could mean that Jonathan is putting his trust in you so much more than everyone else, and you actually can believe that you two are working that closely together.
Either way, it's making you more aware.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yep. I just like the statement. He's not going to be like, oh, yeah, let's vote out Jonathan. He's just like, you know what? I just got to reassess. Yeah. And I'm not going to fight for him too hard.
Nope. Which is the right move.
Right move.
Reward challenge. There's a swimming portion and there's a puzzle portion. And Brad, who's one of the best swimmers on Rara, wants to do the puzzle and makes Rebecca swim. And Rebecca's not a very good swimmer. Itu destroys them. Brad doesn't even get to start the puzzle.
And Let me guess, Ozzy swam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Nate's like, Brad, why the heck aren't you swimming? He's like, I'm good at puzzles. I'm creative spatial. Shut up, Brad.
Brad. Real Brad thing to do, Brad.
He must have a headache.
And it was also a super easy puzzle. There was 8 pieces, and it was a map of the world.
Yeah.
It took them less than a minute to solve.
The swimming was the most important.
Yep.
Maybe if you don't know where South America is, you probably shouldn't be on the puzzle, but I'm thinking most of these people past 4th grade.
Yeah. Itu sends Adam back to exile. Good move.
Good move. Just keep sending him there. He's the strongest, and, well, I mean,
he's been there already.
And Yule already has the idol,
yeah.
So.
Meanwhile, Ozzy, he catches a bird, which they cook and eat, and then just a metric F-ton of fish.
Yeah. We get another one of those moments where Jonathan is like, do we let the bird go? And then Yule's like, yeah, no. And, Yule, breaks its neck, and Jonathan's like, all right, good job, Yule. Let's just be thankful that the bird could provide us with this meal, with this nutrition. And I'm just like, Jonathan, you're such a softie. Like,
Yeah. At least it wasn't a baby bird.
yeah, you literally have the opposite of the killer instinct. Like, you
Yep.
have the savior instinct.
Love Jonathan. He's great. Community Challenge, Rero wins this time. I2's going to Tribal Council. And Ozzy and Flicka, they're kind of on the bottom, and they're like, hey, let's get rid of Jonathan. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be very straightforward. 6 votes for Flicka, 1 vote for Jonathan. Even Ozzy gets on board to knock Flicka out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, credit to them for trying to work that crack where they can see that people mistrust Jonathan. But, sometimes there's just nothing doing.
And it was the right move because, you don't know when the merge is going to be. Keep Ozzy around. You'll keep winning challenges probably.
Yeah.
You got to be careful not to keep him around too long, but it's still there's still enough people around to assume that the merge isn't next episode.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is the first time we've had a 20-person season that is fully 20-person season. Like, we had Palau.
That doesn't count.
It was just like Jonathan and Wanda are gone. This time is like a full 20. So, and the merge is usually at 10, so maybe there's a couple more votes. There are going to be a lot more votes because we're going to merge at 9 people left, weirdly, in this season. Oof. So, yeah, keep Ozzy.
Yeah.
Right move. Derek, what you got for best player?
I said Yule because he kept his alliance together and he was even clued in with what was going on in the other alliance, and he was able to take a hard look at himself and why he trusts Jonathan, but was willing to let him go if need be.
I'm going to disagree. My pick is Ozzy for his challenge performances. He caught just so much food. He sends Adam to exile. He's willing to cut Flicka loose when he realizes a lot cause. He's playing from the bottom the best he can, basically. Because he was next on the chopping block. When they set up the pecking order at the beginning of the episode, he's next. And he does so much for the tribe that they're like, all right, well, bye, Flicka. So he changed the boot order.
I'm siding with Ryan here.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight it.
Who'd you get for worst player, Derek?
I had Jonathan because nobody trusts him and the strategic game is overpowering everything else. Even though he has these human moments, if everyone on your tribe mistrusts you and you're getting kicked to the bottom of your alliance for that reason because you're too schemy and too plotty, that's a hole in your game, and that's a hard one to dig out of because if people see you that way and paint you with that brush, you can't really unpaint it.
I had Brad because of his decision at the reward challenge to not swim and do the puzzle. He just pissed off his tribe a lot doing that. We didn't really talk about it much, but when they got back to camp, like, his whole tribe was just bashing him for doing that. So I had Brad.
I'm going to go with Brad.
Episode 9, Mutiny. Oh, yes. It's Survivor Cook Islands. We have to have this twist. It's perfect. It's perfect. Rarely has a twist played out so well.
Now, we've seen mutiny opportunities before. Didn't we see one in season 6?
Thailand 5, season 5.
In season 5?
Keyword opportunity.
And here's another opportunity, and people are going to take it to their detriment. So the tribes everyone has the opportunity to swap tribes and mutiny, go to the other tribe. Candace and Jonathan both decided to do it. Jonathan has said he's like, I panicked because Candace stepped off the mat. I wasn't planning to, but she's my close ally, so she stepped off, so I stepped off in a panic, and it was like a dumb move. So Candace and Penner are going to swap to rejoin the rest of their white people alliance. Yikes.
Yeah, pulls on collar. Ugh.
This is stupid. The only people who could maybe consider mutinying is Brad, because and I don't think he knows he's on the bottom of his alliance, but he is.
We've talked about mutinies before. Let's just talk about game theory for a second. If you are on the bottom of your tribe, you should switch, because you know what? At least the bottom of a different tribe, someone over there might be cracks that you don't know about. Staying on your tribe at the bottom is a known capacity. Change it up. Here is your chance.
Brad should have switched, but I just don't think he knew he was on the bottom.
Right. So ideally, in a perfect world, Brad switches here.
Maybe Ozzy as well.
And it's weird. This is weird. I would say Ozzy should, because they said that he was next, and you're getting close to a merge, and you don't want to fight him in individual immunity because now you've seen his physical prowess, especially in the water. But we've kind of seen Candace be a little bit paranoid about her position in the game, and that's why she switches.
Which is stupid.
It is stupid.
They seem pretty safe.
She's top 3 on this alliance.
She got the full wrong read on this, and that is her fault.
Yep.
But once she jumps, maybe it is in Penner's best idea. Like, let's just entertain it for a second. Like, maybe after Candace jumps, it is in Penner's best bet, because if people aren't trusting him on that tribe, maybe he should step off with Candace, because now he can completely reunite old Rero, and at least you have a reliable voting block that you're stepping off into. So I think Candace stepping off was a horrible move, but I don't think that Jonathan following her is as bad of a move.
It's not as bad because That's your closest ally. But the thing with doing the mutiny, you piss off a whole tribe of people.
And you just left 3 of your final 5 alliance on the other mat.
You piss off a bunch of people, and Nate says it best. Jonathan comes over, and Nate's like, "We just saw you stab your old tribe in the back, and you want us to embrace you and trust you? No." And it's like, yeah, you have no reason to trust this person.
Oh, the way he's like, he thinks we're gonna cradle traitors. So beautifully articulated.
Nate's got some good confessionals.
Oh man. Then this is what you walked into. You have done this to yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Jonathan is going to catch most of the heat. Candace stepped off first, and I don't understand why we don't see it as much with her.
Well, okay. I2 seems to be more pissed at her.
Yes.
They're going to send her to exile constantly from here on out. Hilarious.
Oh, yeah. This is called comeuppance, kids.
But she's got Adam and Parvati protecting her on the new tribes. The new tribe likes her just fine, and they're more directed at Jonathan because they're like, well, why is he here?
Jonathan keeps saying that he's really close with you, Candace, and Candace is like, I mean, we were on original tribes together, but not really.
And it's so funny because Jonathan is the person he is most loyal to is Candace, and Candace just doesn't see it.
Yeah.
I don't think Candace is very good at Survivor.
She's got a lot of learning to do. She needs to go back, watch the tape, and figure out where she is going wrong.
But yeah, now it's 8-4.
Don't like those odds. Can you imagine going into a merge now?
I2 immediately wins reward. Immediately.
Also, if I did not say it, this is nominee for memorable moment of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's definitely, I think, the best of the pre-merge, in my opinion. And they're immediately going to send Candace to exile, and she doesn't even need to go back home with her tribe yet, her new tribe. She's going straight to exile. Hilarious. I love this so much.
This is so great.
Pure spite.
Well, and my favorite is the fact that all 4 of them in unison are like, Candace.
It's the best.
And the next time they do it, they actually go 1, 2, 3, Candace.
What a unifying moment for them.
So petty, and I love it.
Oh, and they're so justified in it. It's amazing. So Nate wants to take out Jonathan first, which is fair, because if I'm any of the non-white people in this tribe, I'm concerned, because there's 4 white people.
Even if you just think about it in original tribes, it doesn't need to be race. You've got 4 original tribe members here on a tribe of 8. You need to do everything you can to cut that alliance up now.
Yeah, the second that you lose one other person that's not in that main group of 4,
you've lost
you're
your
screwed.
power.
You're screwed.
You better hope that you win out for the merge.
Yep. Jonathan has got to go.
Yeah.
From Nate's perspective.
I mean, yeah, Jonathan or Candace, but Jonathan,
Yeah.
get him gone. Take your pick.
He's the odd man out.
Yes.
Do it. Brad is not making things easy because he makes a comment about hey, we're gonna get to the merge and it's gonna be every man for himself. Technically true, but you don't say that to your alliance.
Yeah.
Not great, Brad. But Jonathan goes to work. He works so hard around camp. He's like Bobby John levels of working hard almost.
Great move.
He's catching fish right and left. He's gathering up firewood, and he's like, I'm going to make myself useful. I'm going to make myself indispensable.
He learned from Ozzy.
We cannot recommend this move enough, because at least if you get voted out, you did everything you could. You left it all out on the beach.
Yep. Jonathan goes to Adam, and it's like, hey, I want it to be the 4 people from the white tribe in the final 4. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. But that's music to Adam's ears. Adam's like, hell yeah, man. You want to go to the final 4 with me? Cool.
That sounds like options.
Yeah, this is great for Adam.
If you want to look at this in a positive way and not as oh, we're going to bring the 4 white people to the end as the final 4, maybe just be, hey, let's have the 4 white people be a voting block until the merge, and then we'll reassess because optics.
But yeah, just telling Adam, all I'm going to say is, dude, I'm going to go to the end with you. Just leave out the part about the white people.
Yep.
Not great.
Does he phrase it like
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Oh, man. I don't even remember that.
Oof.
Ugh.
We get a really cool immunity challenge where they're all in boats with a glass bottom target. And they have to drop cannonballs down through the bottom of their boat and try and land them in baskets underwater.
Yeah, and like a trigger plate.
Yeah. It's really cool. But the problem is, the glass bottom boat target bullseye isn't super accurate. So Yule figures out, if you look through the ball, the cannon dropping hole,
Like the chute,
the chute, it's more accurate. So Yule finds a hack for the game. And they went out easily.
Yeah, I remember this challenge. It's a cool one.
And Jonathan, they're having problems, and Jeff is kind of trash talking them. And Jonathan goes, "Oh please, Jeff." And Jeff says, "Jonathan, getting annoyed." By me.
By me.
Okay.
Well, we're getting meta. So Raro's going to tribal council, and Candace is just throwing Penner under the bus. Like, we don't need him. Yeah, keep him.
I mean, keep him, but I don't know how much Candace was clutch because she just got back from exile.
That's true.
So if you're coming back from exile and the last thing that you remember from like old I2 is that no one trusted Jonathan, you've got no reason to really think that he's gone full Bobby John and worked his way into this invaluable provider role that's good in the short term. So just, you know what? I respect Candace for being like, yeet, 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 bus.
Yeah, but as bad as it looks, if Jonathan goes, you're going next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you can get the white people together along with someone else and take out one of the other four, you're gold. So Jonathan is a valuable person for Candace's game.
Yes.
So it's a question between Brad and Jonathan who's going next, and Adam pulls Nate aside, and they're talking about it, and Adam convinces Nate, like, yeah, we should take out Brad. And they're going to take out Brad. It's going to be 7 votes for Brad, 1 vote for Jonathan. Womp, womp.
This is awful.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great for original Raro.
It's impressive, actually.
Oh, it is straight up impressive. I want to just get into my best player. It's Adam.
That's 100% Adam.
Because he still has options. He still has Nate.
Yep.
And like him and Nate are totally good. And he still has Jenny, and they're totally good.
Not to mention his Candace, his makeout buddy. They haven't made out yet, but they will. Adam is so well set up. It's actually insane how well set up he is.
Out of left field, because I mean, Alpha Bro has not played so well thus far in the season. Like, he's done okay.
He's been fine
given his position.
He's a little douchey,
but like, this is great.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
This just falls into your lap. And to his credit, he's like, you know what? Life gave me 11. Let's make some beef stew.
For real. It's an impressive episode for Adam.
Yes, it is.
Very impressive.
Given that they lost the challenge, which, I mean, losing to a tribe of 4 sucks, but everything after that.
Yeah. LOL. So Adam's easy best player. Worst?
I said Nate. He's talked about, like, I think he even made mention earlier in the season, like, old Raro is still all here. We need to get some of them gone. And then proceeds to immediately jump on board to keep 4 Raro on a tribe of now 7. This was horrible. It was so short-sighted to get rid of Brad and not at least try and force the issue, especially after you yourself saying, we don't cradle traitors. Well, apparently, you do.
You do.
And this is going to be a problem if you lose again. But there's no way. It's 7-4. They'll never lose again.
It's not like they're going to lose 2 more people in kind of a BS twist. I'm going to say Candace just because the mutiny move is so bad and so stupid. That, yeah, Nate's move is also very bad, but I almost want to throw her out there alongside Nate for Josh to decide because I feel the need to condemn this move so much.
The mutiny was a horrible move. I guess, yeah, the mutiny is a horrible move. I'll just leave it at that. Let's let Josh decide.
Nate is only put in this position to make a bad move because of Candace's bad move. It's Candace.
Okay. Either way, they were both garbage in this
Garbage, yes.
Yes.
Absolute trash. This is just terrible gameplay.
Now, it works out for Candace. It works out for Jonathan. But just because it worked out doesn't mean that you did yourself any favors.
Results-oriented thing. And if you're thinking about it in terms of who is least likely to win, guess what? You got 4 people who
You got a lot of people who are not voting for you.
Candace.
Yeah.
So,
good luck.
All right, one more episode. Finally, episode 10.
Please.
Jeez. And then we're going to get to the merge, and that'll be a separate podcast. But episode 10 is people that like you want to see you suffer. Yeah, they do. Adam and Candace, they're talking. They make a final 2 deal, and they kiss.
Don't do this.
What could possibly go wrong?
Granted, they don't get caught.
At least they're not shown as getting caught.
Because their shelter is kind of, it's a hut, basically. They managed to build, like, a full-on hut, so there's one doorway. It's not like anybody can see in from, like, 3 different directions. So it's just the 2 of them in the shelter, so they can kiss. So it's better than Rob and Amber, who are doing it with other people in the shelter.
Sure.
So they don't get caught, but yeah, that's still not great. But Adam is very worried that Jenny is going to want Candace out next. As she should.
Yes.
I2 ends up winning reward, and they send Candace to exile.
1, 2, 3.
Candace. Oh, yeah.
And the jubilation in their voice. Just like, oh, parting is such... You know what? It is not sorrow. It's just
It's
sweet.
sweet. So sweet. And that's where we get the line of the episode where she's like, it sucks because people you like want to see you suffer. LOL.
She's like gutting like snails or like clams or something and just like dirty water, just sucking on it, just like, this is miserable.
You did this to
yourself. You did this to yourself.
Cue the Charlie Brown music.
Yeah. This is like Lucy pulling out the football, except Charlie Brown pulled the football out from in front of himself.
Yep.
You did this.
This is self-inflicted wounds. Self-inflicted friendly fire. Jonathan is just a workhorse continuing. He just catches so much fish. He caught like 17 fish in 2 days or something. Or was it 22?
He said 20 to 22 fish.
In 2 days.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like, that's Aussie levels of epic.
Yeah.
He learned from the best.
Yeah. He was always fishing with Ozzy.
Yep. This is impressing Raro. And it's going to save him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I2 ends up winning immunity, and we have had 4 challenges now where the I2 4 have won.
Yeah.
That is insane.
There's a compilation on YouTube that I remember watching like a year or so ago and just watching through it and just laughing my ass off just because I'm just like, oh my God, it's been a few years since I saw this and it's hilarious.
It's pretty hilarious.
I think my favorite part of actually this immunity challenge was when Ozzy was like down. He swam, got the flag, and got back before like Nate had even gotten the flag. That's how good he was in the water.
He's number one.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Apparently he can hold his breath for like 2.5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Well, being active.
Yeah.
You can hold your breath for longer than that if you're just sitting there, no problem. But
Yeah.
Ozzy's swimming around like a fish. Dude's nuts.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Ozzy's great. When it comes to the physical game, he's number one on it, period. On outplay, it is Ozzy with a bullet, I think. So here's the twist, though. The losing tribe, Raro, they get a message in a bottle that they are supposed to open after the votes. And they'll kind of assume, like, it's going to mean, oh, you're merged. That's a fair assumption. I don't think anyone could have guessed what it's actually going to be.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to get this again. This is a one-time deal.
Probably for the better, but I also didn't mind it as a one-time thing.
I don't mind. I'm glad, one and done. Let's never do it again, though. So, it's a very easy vote. They've decided Rebecca is going. Everyone's kind of on board with this because she's not very good in the challenges. She's just kind of like done. She's tired. She's exhausted. We'll just get rid of her. At least Jonathan is catching us a ton of fish. Also, the White Alliance has the number. It's 4-3. Kind of what they say goes at this point.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
And
it's the way it is now.
And the edit does not make it obvious that the 4 are together. They're very wishy-washy about it. But at Tribal, Adam is like pretty cut and dry. Like Jeff is like, wow, did I just get a straight answer out of somebody? Because he's like, what's this vote going to be about? He's going to be like, productivity, effort. And Jeff's like, oh, wow, that was very honest. And he's like, yeah, it is. Oh, okay.
6 votes for Rebecca, 1 vote for Jonathan. Yeah, it was the right move for the majority majority group.
For the new majority of people on Raro,
Yep.
Rebecca is the right move.
And Nate and Jenny see the writing on the wall and get on board with that as well. Surprise! Open the message in a bottle. Second tribal counts. You're voting somebody else out right now.
LOL.
And this is before the days of live tribals.
Yep.
So guess what? Just go right down a name.
And it's going to be, because Adam, if you remember, Adam knows Jenny wants to get rid of Candace sooner rather than later. So Jenny's going to go. The 4 votes for Jenny, 2 votes for Penner. The White Tribe strikes again, and Jenny's out of the game. I feel bad for Jenny. We didn't really get to know her very well, but she got screwed by a twist. Mm-hmm. Absolutely screwed by a twist.
Yeah, and for that reason, I'd love to see her back. I don't know if she ever plays again, but
she deserves a second chance. She's not the most, there's people who are interesting that I want to come back, interesting characters, and there's people who just get so screwed. I feel bad for them, and they deserve a second chance. How I feel about Jonathan and Wanda.
Yeah, so we've only had 2 returner seasons. One of them was a captain season. One of them was All Stars, right? So who was on All Stars that really didn't deserve to be there?
Amber,
Sheehan, and there might have been one other
Alicia, maybe.
Alicia was
Jenna Lewis, maybe.
Boston Rob,
even Boston Rob, right? I would say that Jenny would deserve a second chance over maybe all but Boston Rob because he had great confessionals, even though he was technically a pre-merge boot.
Yeah,
so
she fits very similarly into that. Why are they here?
Yeah. But if they did come back, it's because they got screwed, and that just sucks.
And I would be happy for them. You know what? That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention Brad, and then now Rebecca and Jenny. They're all in the jury. We're having an early jury surprise.
Yes.
So the Jenny vote, again, a good move for the majority group. Get rid of the person who's the most outspoken against one of your members,
Yep.
Candace. Nate
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
When all the minorities are getting picked off by the white people and you're the last one left, I'm in danger.
I feel badly about this, but like I almost want to make a meme where it's like surprised Pikachu face. Like,
I mean, it is a social experiment. Like,
and I'm sure the Survivor producers at this point are like, "Oh no,
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 huge mistake."
Plan B, just merge.
4 out of the final 9 are white. Oh no. Oh,
Give idols to everyone but them.
this was such a bad idea.
Put the idol next to the boat.
This was such a bad idea. Oh man.
it's so wild to think about the fact that the only 2 people to mutiny were from the white tribe too. It's
And
just
they did it to go back with their white tribe. Oh no. God damn it, guys.
and you wonder why this was so uncomfortable to watch at times.
Dang it, Candace and Jonathan, you're giving us white people a bad name. We don't need any extra help.
Oh man. And this is again, never do this again.
I'm laughing through my own comfort.
Yeah. This, we're all uncomfortable here. Remember,
Yep.
this is 3 white guys sitting around a table talking about a show that they love.
Yep.
You can love something while still acknowledging that it has faults. This is a
Fault.
yeah.
Fault.
You know when the teacher red pens your test and says like this was bad.
Try again.
Yeah, this is like an incomplete try again.
Yeah.
Except don't try again.
Yeah, like scrap your entire project and do something else.
Start over.
do the entire thing over again with the same like diversity of people, but just don't.
Yeah,
just 2 tribes.
It was such a big oof. All right. Well, again, this is a double vote, so we can give out 2 best and 2 worst. I'll go first this time. I'm going to pick Adam because he controlled both votes, and he made a final 2 deal with Candace. And then also Jonathan Penner for working so hard that he somehow survived 2 tribal councils. Actually, well, 3 if we're counting last week. But he's working so hard. He survives both of these tribal councils against all odds, even though everybody's like, yeah, we could get rid of him. But no, he's just such a workhorse. It gets them so much food that they save him, and he survives both votes. That's insane.
Yeah, I only gave out 1 best and worst because both came from the same tribe, so it didn't make sense to me to give out 2. And I gave it to Jonathan because obviously he had done enough to placate these ideas of voting him out. Like, they kept kicking the can down the road, and they ran out of, like, the minority group ran out of time in the Raro tribe, and, well, now Jonathan is pretty well embedded in a top 4. And that's to his credit and to their detriment. They failed on that front. They failed to recognize it. And, man, bummer.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
You're saying just Jonathan,
I'm saying just Jonathan.
and I'm saying both Adam and Jonathan. Does Adam deserve 1?
I do echo Derek's reasoning behind this, that when it comes from the same like tribe and 2 people are voted out, it feels really weird to give out 2 best. So, but if we are giving away 2, Adam seems like he did enough to be on the positive side of the episode, so it's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're both right. And for the record, if I were to give out 2, Adam would get the second one.
Cool.
For my worst, I actually have a funny story to tell because I like to try and take these notes live, right? So the second that they voted out Rebecca, I was writing down my worst player of the episode, and it was Jenny for being an enabler for this tribe to do this. And then they open up the bottle and they're voting out somebody else, and I'm like, well, just pull out the old eraser because I knew she was going next. So it was Jenny. Now de facto Nate, because you didn't see the writing on the wall and you didn't force the issue with Adam, and now you are probably 5th on this Raro alliance.
So just Nate, or are you giving out a second one?
Just Nate. I only did 1. So
I agree. And it's not because I don't want to give out a second one. It's just I didn't feel like there was somebody else who played poorly.
yeah, first of all, like I2, no one on that. Like Sundra's finally like finding her place and has a ton of team spirit. Ozzy's still a beast. Yule's still a beast, and
You can just exclude everyone
Yep.
on the other
Yeah.
tribe.
And the Raro 4 white people won the day, so that leaves Nate. for being on the wrong side of the Jenny vote.
So if you're giving away 2 of them, theoretically, wouldn't you be able to give it to Jenny for the first one? Because you're doing it like one person gets voted off, who's the best. Next one gets voted off.
We absolutely could.
So you could toss Jenny in there.
It's within the rules, and I will say that I wrote her down. I'm okay with doing that.
Why not? Why not? Let's give out 2. We'll give it Nate and Jenny, just because it's so. We'll just.
Jenny was the worst, but she just got her comeuppance a little bit quicker.
Yep.
Than...
You do have to say Jenny first. Then.
Jenny first, then Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? We'll throw her in. We got the empty space for it.
If Survivor gets a twist, so do we.
All right, and we wrapped up the pre-merge.
Oh my god. 4 hours later.
The full hours.
Ozzy and Jonathan are still here. We all have our winner picks still in the game. So now this is the time where we could talk about if we could switch. We're at the merge. If you could switch, who would you switch to? You're not allowed to switch. You're stuck.
I'm stuck.
But if you could switch away from Ozzy, or in my case, Penner, who would you pick?
I would 100% switch. Ozzy, I think, even though he's a physical beast, I would never want to be on the physical beast, because the second that he loses individual immunity, anyone with power is going to try and take him out. I don't know which way Nate is going to swing after this whole upheaval. So we have this really weird group of four, and I think Nate going into the merge could very well be a swing vote, and there's no reason for him not to jump ship. From his point of view, everyone left on his side has betrayed him. That leaves me with one obvious answer. I switch to Yule. He's got the super idol. Everybody loves him. Obviously, Becky has no interest of divulging that he has the idol. And let's say something weird, wackadoo stuff happens. Yule still does kind of have a Final Five alliance with Becky and Candice and Penner. So Yule's in a great spot heading into the merge. I switch to Yule 10 times out of 10 from Ozzy.
Yeah, the way that I see it is that you have now 4 people on the new I2 tribe who have been vindicated and are now super close together. That doesn't mean that they're going to stick together going into the merge, but when you're going up against 4 white people, they're probably going to stick together. Like Derek said, it would make more sense for Nate to flip. So now you have to look at this theoretically group of 5 if they would take all the white people out just 4 in a row. You have to look at this group of 5 and think, when do we need to cut Ozzy so that he doesn't just challenge beast this thing and make it to the end? And that's going to be the really difficult thing. What would make me switch from Ozzy to someone else? I think that there's going to be a point somewhere in the post-merge where Ozzy slips and he misses one of the challenges, and they have the numbers to see their opportunity and take him out because they see no other way because they can't let him get to the end.
7th place would be a great place to cut Ozzy. You go 2 up on the minority left, which in this case would be the white people. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you say, you know what, ultimate challenge beast Ozzy, he got to go.
Yep.
And you can vote him out.
So I am going to switch from Ozzy to Yule because I still only if it isn't Yule, I think that it would be Ozzy just through challenges and getting to the end and being an overall beast. No one else has really shown a whole lot. A little bit from Adam, they're just a late emergence, but not enough to get me to flip.
And his edit hasn't been exactly positive either. He's been effective, but not positive.
No. And like we said, we can't switch, but if I would switch to Yule.
Yeah, I'm going to wipe out all 5 of the Raro people based on edit alone. I don't think any of them can win. We haven't seen enough from Sundra or Becky. That leaves Yule and Ozzy. So obviously I'm switching from Penner if I could. And I agree with you. Ozzy would be someone to consider taking out. And if they do take out Ozzy, who's the next big challenge beast? Maybe Yule could win all the way once Ozzy's gone.
And Yule also has the Super Idol.
Also the Super Idol. We saw how close Terry got with the Super Idol. Yeah, based on what happened in Panama, it's Yule. I think anybody who says otherwise is a fool. It's Yule. But we're stuck. None of us can switch. None of us have Yule.
Yep.
All right.
Yule.
So, this is an interesting question. We have 9 people left in the game. So far, throughout what we've seen so far, who is the best player of the pre-merge of these 9?
It's Yule. I think he's the only player that I haven't seen make a grave mistake. I think his tribe at one point sent a weird person to Exile Island. I can't remember at what point in the podcast we were talking about this, but he's been diplomatic in all of his dealings with negative occurrences. He navigated the Cowboy situation, the unreliable Cowboy. Whenever he needed Cowboy, he was able to get him. His social game is crazy good. Everyone is talking about Yule, and no one really suspects him of having the idol. And obviously he was good enough at the social game for Becky not to flip on him immediately and be like, yo, this beast over here has got the idol. We need to flush it. There's something to be said here. He's no slouch physically. The guy is a beast. He's on a tribe of 4 that ends up being able to run the table down the line to make the numbers 5-4. And he's smart. He's super intelligent, super strategic. He doesn't have a weak spot in his game. To me, it's Yul with a bullet.
Here's the problem, though. Yul's a fantastic player. It's just I feel like we haven't gotten to see enough of his resume yet. He's been to 3 tribal councils. All of them were pretty straightforward. Cecilia, Cowboy, Flicka. Yeah, the Cowboy move was great, for sure. But it's just, like, he's got so much more potential than we've seen.
What we did see, though, the Cecilia vote, that could have been a complete and unmitigated disaster.
It could have been.
And him and Jonathan. And Jonathan, I'll give him his credit, but people suspected him more. Like, he came across as shady, whereas Yul has never been painted in that light.
So, with potential, I think Yul's the best. I think Yul's got the best skills.
I think he played a perfect pre-merge.
Here's the thing. We got to see more of the dynamics of the other tribe in action. A lot of kind of craziness over on Rero. So I kind of want to give it to Adam. And yeah, Adam has he's a little bit hot-headed, but he's controlled Rero. He was on the outs with the guys and the girls, the JP vote right at the beginning, but he immediately saw the writing on the wall, changed everything up, and then he seized control of his tribe and has basically had control since Stephanie went home. And then his moves over the last couple of episodes in particular, getting his people in line, getting his people. What do you mean his people? And then getting rid of Brad, and then Rebecca, and then Jenny. He's set up, he's just got all of his people, and it's been really impressive, especially for someone who's just kind of seems like a frat bro. So, while I think Yul has the better skill set, from what we've seen, from what Adam has had more opportunity to do stuff than Yul, and I just think Adam's move have been impressive.
So I'm gonna go back to something that I said in season 4. Playing a good pre-merge doesn't mean playing a splashy pre-merge. Adam is the first person to get voted out on Rero if Nate flips, because he's big, he's strong, and he's controlling. Adam is not even the best player on Rero.
I think out of spite, they would do Candace first. And then Adam would be next.
Maybe. But who else is over there that has been a part of every single one of those moves, has been more diplomatic, and was able to put on her big boy pants when she needed to and take control of the guys? Parvati is the best player left on Rero, and that's based on how I judge a pre-merge, because I don't want a splashy pre-merge. I'm not talking about the Parvati shallow that we're all going to come to know and love in other seasons. Spoiler, Parvati plays again. She played, in my opinion, given her tribe's position in the challenges and being pretty dysfunctional, also played as good of a pre-merge as she could. So to me, the two choices, Yul, Parvati, they both played perfect pre-merges given the hands they were dealt, and Yul was on the better tribe and is in the better position going into the post-merge.
We haven't seen Parvati in a while. She's been kind of invisible.
Yeah, that's great.
I didn't give her any best players of the episodes. So, Parvati's not even in the conversation. I gave the most best player of the episodes. It's a tie between Ozzy and Adam, and I just think Adam is better than Ozzy.
I do holistic grading, by the way, so that's why I'm thinking about it this way.
Well, you're both wrong.
Okay, here we go.
It's Ozzy.
Okay.
So I agree that I think that there's 3 people that are above the rest, and we have all 3 of them here. And I think this is the first time we've ever had 3 different people as a best of pre-merge or post-merge. Outside of one negative play, and that is deliberately throwing the challenge in episode 2.
Yeah.
He has done more than I think anyone else on this season to keep himself in the game. He is proven his worth around camp. He's given them reasons to keep him around by being Mr. Provider, Beast Man. Yes, it paints a giant target on his back, but you could go 7 episodes in a row where he was playing from the bottom and could have gone home very, very, very easily with one slip up. So I really, really credit the whole playing from the bottom and keeping yourself alive in that way. And that's something that Yul has been super comfortable with this game. He's had no issues whatsoever, no threats. And
to his credit.
To his credit, yes.
Partially to his credit.
Yes. Adam has had a late emergence, but before the last 2 episodes, we hardly talked about him, I don't think. So
he got into a lot of fights in the first half of the pre-merge.
So outside of the one negative part about Ozzy, I think he's played an amazing pre-merge. Yes, it's not the ideal pre-merge where you want to be all chameleon-like, but he's playing the best that he can with what he's given. And he's here with a solid group.
So we have no clear answer. I think Ozzy and Adam and Ewell are all really, really great, solid players in there. So they're all very good. And Brett Penner's pretty good too. He's got some issues, but Penner's pretty good too.
You know, I think the reason that this season isn't as exciting as other ones is because we do have a lot of competent players, and competent players don't do splashy things in a pre-merge.
Not always, yeah.
A lot of the wild cards got
Knocked
axed.
Yeah.
Worst player of the pre-merge?
Of the 9 people who are left, I think the worst player remaining is Nate. I think he's had so many strategic missteps. It all started, number one, with not letting Sekou go immediately. And granted, that's a little thing. It didn't follow him. It didn't haunt him. But it kind of culminated in this idea of, you know, not seeing the writing on the wall. He doesn't seem to be very aware of the game developing around him to his detriment. And now he's in a really tough spot without a place to hang his hat.
He's frequently on the outside of the vote.
Yeah.
Frequently. Basically, the only time he's ever on the right side of the vote is when it's a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's him who's on the outs, it seems like.
Now, I kind of want to give a dishonorable mention to Candace.
Oh, yeah.
For
I don't think you even need to kind of. I think that we can give her a very great dishonorable mention.
She's the second worst.
Yeah.
For the complete and unnecessary mutiny from a very strong, tight-knit I2 Final 5.
Terrible.
That you had figured out. Boo.
Dishonorable mention to Candace for sure, but I do agree that Nate is the worst player of the pre-merge.
Yeah, he's the one that, honestly, if you were to say that someone was, outside of, like, really thinking about the jury vote side of it, I think that he might be the least likely to win just because it'd be the most difficult for him to get to the end based on where it appears at least alliances are lying.
But if I had to pick someone who's least likely to win, it's probably Candace.
I would say Candace, because she's lost 4 jury votes, I think.
Okay, so that's Nate's our worst player. Any other thoughts so far going into the merge?
Literally, the only other note I had is that Jeff wears a banana yellow shirt and a straw cowboy hat to one of the challenges, and I was like, my eyes! Never do this again, but at the same time, please do this again. It's just a banana yellow shirt.
Weather report?
Couple bouts of rain. We get one. It was really anticlimactic. They said, and one survivor will spend the worst night on exile ever. And it was Adam. And they never show us anything. They just have him go, the rain hit me in the back. It hurt.
It sucks out here.
It was bad. It sucks. But like in the next time on Survivor.
They make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. So that was really anticlimactic. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty easy season relative to the first 13 seasons. I would say this is easiest 3. I'm not sure exactly where to put it in there, but not too bad. They seem to have plenty of food as well.
Yeah. They kind of learn like, maybe we should let them eat.
They've learned since Guatemala, was it?
Yeah, Guatemala or All-Stars and Vanuatu and all those.
Yeah.
So last thing is, Josh, you are a memorability consultant. You
Yes.
picked the most memorable moment of the season. We're halfway through, more than halfway through really, but we're through the pre-merge. What would you say is the front runner for the most memorable moment of the season?
And I think this might be one of the reasons why I was questioning whether or not I was classifying this as must-watch Survivor, but I actually have quite a few memorable moments. They're not all great by any means, but they're memorable nonetheless. First, the theme.
Yeah.
I'm not going to choose that because it's not a moment, but it's definitely, when you say Cook Islands and the second that you look at the cast photo, it's like, oh, this is that season.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It's kind of like the Shane Powers thing where you did last time where you're like, I'm going to remember this for Shane Powers et al.
Yes. Other nominees are Billy's Undying Love.
Yep.
The Split Vote.
Plan Voodoo.
And The Mutiny. Any other nominees?
My pick would be the Mutiny.
I think I'm going to remember Plan Voodoo the most, but I'm also a strategic nutcase, and I can't believe that he came up with it. And just the fact that it came to him in a dream. So Plan Voodoo is probably what I'll remember most, but Mutiny is great.
It's The Mutiny. It is the one thing that I remember that just stuck out to me when I saw them, when I saw this cast. And I'm just like, oh, this is the season with the Mutiny, isn't it? Yes. Love it.
Iconic. Yes, we'll see if anything in the post-merge beats it.
Of course.
Not likely. But we'll see. All right, well, you can follow us on Twitter at Castaway Pod, and don't forget to give us any 5-star reviews. Next time, we're going to be looking at the post-merge of Survivor Cook Islands. Again, that'll be short. It's 4 regular episodes and a finale. So that'll be quick.
Yeah, I didn't realize when we were cutting these rewind series into pre-merge and post-merge that we were going to end up with like an 11-episode pre-merge. Oh.
Yeah, this is a marathon.
So, guys, if you listened however many hours into this podcast, thank you for making it this far.
Tell us if you made it through the entire episode. Just message us on like Twitter. Or something.
Yeah, on the tweet.
Hashtag Cook Island Marathon.
Hashtag I survive Cook Islands.
I survive Cook Islands. There we go. Just let us know if you made it. All right, guys, anything else?
Nah, I got nothing.
I'm good.
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.